Um, so for the people tuning in and for the listeners, Neal, I'm putting you on here because we've been talking a lot about something I've been kind of on a kick about, which is AI, learning AI. And as I got to talking to you about it, you know a bunch about it. And I figured, well, AI is a new thing. People have tons of questions about the topic, and there's a whole bunch of different views on it. And since you're actually educated, you've been helping me with like a little side project, or you've been talking to me about a little side project we're working on. So I wanted to have you on to tell me about what you deal with on a day to day, but also I wanted to really kind of dive into the AI stuff. And welcome to the show, dude. Now tell them.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Now tell
I
them.
listen to most of them. Yeah, I listen to most of your episodes. Not all of them. Yeah.
And you bought a
Most
couple
of them.
shirts.
Yeah, I did. I did. Those are getting attention, man. People like your cartoon version of your face.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want one, but it's weird when I wear it. I feel like it's weird. I just got my face all over my clothes.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty much like you look. I mean, cartoon version. So you literally would be walking around your own face. You might get some attention.
Yeah, like why is that guy wearing himself? What's the big deal?
Yeah, that's me.
I just not that conceited. Not yet. What do you deal with on a day to day? Like what's your you're an engineer, right? Or you're in charge of engineers?
Yeah, recovering engineer is the best way to put it. I've been doing this for a long time. So I've been in technology. I went into finance for a short period and back into technology. So almost all my professional career, um, mid 90s, early 90s. I was selling computers when I was in college. I was selling computers out the door when computers were cool and people bought them and they were very expensive. You know, a big old like gateway that would cost you $1,200. I was selling for like $500 out of my dorm room. Um, but I didn't know much about business, right? I just thought if I sold them cheap and moved them out, that would be, I'd get rich. I could maybe quit working at the coffee shop or whatever. And no, I learned a lot about customer support. I had a lot of customers. I sold them like crazy. Probably sold, gosh, like a couple hundred of them. I only made like $150 each, right? I didn't double it like I should. I didn't do the whole, I didn't know business. I didn't know what I was doing. Could have slowed down the business, but man, I had at one point inside my condo was just stacks of computers and I was just building them and selling them out the door in like 90, 95, 96. But then I had a lot of phone calls from a lot of people that didn't know how to turn the damn thing on and work the damn computer. But that became sort of my side job and my lesson in business. Like for that period of time, which was, usually they started dying off. Either maybe because I maybe sounded rude by the 100th time they called me to figure out how to power on a machine, or maybe they figured out how to power the damn thing on. And then kind of started to taper off. I was going to school for philosophy. And interestingly enough, my whole thesis was around artificial intelligence. But it was back then, I say that now, it's so old, it's crazy. But like in the early 90s, it was a voodoo science. Like AI was not in any industrial or commercial application. There's like two parts of AI, right, that we like to get confused as humans. There's the machine learning side, which is all the algorithms and let's just say the numbers machines that are really smart, genius mathematicians have made. And then there's artificial intelligence, which is sort of mimicking human reason, more appropriate for that. So back in the 90s, the argument was, Big Blue had not too long before that had beat a chess player, and that was considered a big AI victory. But in fact, it was an algorithmic victory, right? It was someone wrote a program. They didn't give something the ability to have reason. I was much more interested in that. That was super voodoo in the computer science world. That was you watch too much Star Trek, bro, kind of thing, right? So I had no real application, and I didn't know or care. Obviously, I was selling computers out the door and creating a big uh, problem. I had no idea about business. I was just interested in the idea of a machine that could have its own consciousness. And so I explored that for 4 years, realized that that's not going to get me a job anywhere, and had built this experience supporting several hundred machines. Unless I was interviewing, I would have maybe told you it was 1,000 machines, but it was several hundred machines, right? That I was learning how to support. Went to school to get my MCSE because I heard a cool like radio commercial. They were a big deal in the 90s, right before the dot-com boom. You could just make 80 grand a year as an MCSE, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. I could pass that test easy. So I went to the test and I was given my $80,000 job and ended up getting one of those and ended up in IT support, boring ass support job for many years. Then into leadership. Then I went into the mortgage business because I was working for a mortgage business in IT. And so I went into the mortgage business because I had all these knuckleheads making, $30,000, $40,000 a month writing mortgages. So I had both jobs. I talked to my CEO, which we were in a huge company. We were like 100 employees. I talked to my CEO, and he was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, you can do both. You keep your salary whole and go ahead and make the money, but my shit better not go down. I better have tons of email." So did that for a little while, made too much money, and then went all the way into dot bust. So it's kind of interesting. The dot-com bust is when I started getting into mortgages. And then when the equity markets or the credit markets went to shit, like 2006-ish, 2007, and when it got really bad, I went back into tech.
It's the dot-com bust?
Fly in and out. The dot-com bust was like right at the turn of the century where we started to recognize all the earning potential for online retail mostly. So for online revenue. It was our first sort of frontier into online revenue. And shareholders went nuts about it. The thing that I've learned, especially in my business today, is how little rationale we have with this mob shareholder mentality. It's kind of like how governments have to deal with politics, if you think about it. Then we end up boiling down to a singular issue that we've got to chase for these folks, and it's a mindless chase. And in this case, in the dot-com bust, it was you just had to have internet business in your business plan, and we would invest a ton of money and then maybe ask questions about when we'll see profits, later on at some point, and speculate the hell out of your shares for years, wow. Right? And then that happened, and then everything collapsed. Finally, everybody started wondering if we were ever going to make any money. It started going in the direction of you can't make money on the internet; it's too expensive. But what we were doing was just giving the kids way too much money. We just spent the hell out of it. And it created a lot of innovation, just wasn't being held accountable for creating revenue. So it collapsed.
Do you think they're doing that to try to get ahead of each other, like competitive? Like,
hell yes. It's going on right now in AI. It's going on right now. That's what I was
going to say. Like, yeah. It's kind of, is that, I wanted to hit on this subject too. And I'm glad you just said it, because what you just said just made me think of something I've been thinking about a lot. And I want to see what you think, because from my perspective, who's a newbie, I think the same thing's going on. I think every company is trying to build an AI and an AI structure simply because they're trying to compete with each other. I feel like they're ignoring ethics and they're ignoring if it's dangerous or not. What do you think? Is it dangerous?
No, it's not. It's not getting ignored. It is. So it depends on what you call dangerous. I'm going to try to swim a middle lane on this one. Oh man, I'd be pretty good at this. I mean, I'd be more than happy to share my opinion, but I'm going to share this one down a middle lane.
Okay.
If you are very sensitive and you want to buffer exposure to what bias is and the effects of it, and maybe some bad manners. There's if you have a certain level of sensitivity to being very PC, then yes, it's dangerous. It could threaten those values, and it requires extra governance.
Okay.
Now, the corporate world, especially if you're publicly traded, we've got a couple very important stories to tell, as corporate citizens. Number one, we've got to be one of those. You can't not be one of those and be a Fortune 500 company. You've got to fix a couple things that you have to admit are broken in your business, regardless of whether that's real or not. You have to go through the process of admitting that that's broken. Systematic bias. You have to admit that as an organization. And then I have to also say we have systematic waste, fiduciary responsibilities, even if we don't. And then also you have bias, equity, and probably the biggest ones is sustainability. So those are stories that you have to have a story for. So that's why in the commercial space for AI, it is actually very much covered. We've got, from my organization, so I'm in a consulting group now, which is what I eventually graduated toward. And in my organization, we do a lot of business management consulting, and that's always a piece of any engagement I've done in the AI space. The best way to say it is, if I ask senior leadership out loud in front of people, do we want to go through all this? Are you guys interested in having the scope, some training to help everybody understand how to keep prompts clean, how to recognize that you've got some biasness in the model. And that bias element could be, there were some found actually that would be good, worth pointing out, because they made sure they had fiduciary and social impact. The real challenge is when it's social only. Right? That's a little tougher to get corporations to invest in social only. But social and fiduciary, they invest in it, and they also make it a story because of the social, element and the social value associated with it. This one was in mortgage applications. They started allowing a test loop occur with AI. So nobody's approving loans with AI yet. So that's not, nobody's had the cojones and balls to do that quite yet.
So
what they are doing is they're underwriting them with AI, and then they're allowing underwriters to use that underwriting to get their heads start. Right? But at the end of the day, the human has moved away from underwriter to under-editor, is the best way to put it.
Okay. As I'm learning it,
and there's bias concern there. Yeah.
As I'm learning it, and I'll speak from my perspective. As I'm learning it, I'm actually changing my mind from how dangerous it looks and how bad AI could be for humanity and that whole train ride. And I'm actually seeing how it's built and understanding how it can be extremely convenient, like how it could just be like the next breakthrough. And I'm starting to lean that way more and more. But I know a lot of people think AI and they're like, oh shit, that's going to take over humans. Or like, do we really want to keep feeding it?
Yeah, so if that's what you meant, I think that it would be I think it's a larger probability, or a smaller probability, I would say, of it not being an issue if we don't stay in front of it to some degree and keep a thumb on it. If we let it go fully autonomously, in other words, or close to that, ungoverned, then the biggest threat, hands down, and the only threat that I really recognize, I would say publicly, I get shit. I talk about how they can take over the world, actually, but honestly, I got in the real world. The reality is that, like, the power that you and I have with it now, and if we just focused for a couple of solid days of coffee drinking, like, you could become extremely damaging. You have extremely capable to do significant amount of damage to individuals, companies, because of the power it has. It's an extension of you. So it's literally that's really where the real danger resides, in the social impact, outside of whether it's going to, approve loans or disapprove loans from a minority because it just is biased naturally because that's how it was trained, versus this is what corporate citizens are focused on. But the bigger danger that is real is that it's already being used as a weapon, but hasn't really been used, because you and I can sit here and think of amazing ways that it could be used to really cause a lot of harm to an individual socially. Right? It's not going to build a robot and attack a person, but it's going to socially, it could do a shit ton of damage. So on that uh, on that specific area, like it's already a danger to society. It's already causing damage,
Right.
significant amounts of damage. You and I get on here right now and start to ask it to write, let's just say, code that will give that will do certain things to gain access to, or gain access to, let's just say, credentials to a system. And then have it also write and script out all of the social engineering required to get you to give us some information we need in order to get it. And then, hey, can you report this to a mobile app for me so that now I can get these people on phone on laptop?
Have you
do that now?
Have you seen like the AI that, you know how they do like the captchas, and it found out how to get around the captchas by emailing people and asking them to solve a problem for them?
No, I haven't seen that.
So
it's more social engineering. But you need that now. Now AI can no problem filling the captcha crap out now. That's totally doable.
So if it's like an extension of you and you're a malevolent person, then you can use it for bad things. But if you're
that's right.
Working on good and working on convenience, then it would be just, you know, it goes both ways, basically. It's the user.
Certainly. But of course, as humans, we start thinking about, well, I mean, what if we have someone that kind of knows what they are doing at the start? If they couldn't have done anything with their own skills, or very little damage, or it would have been too much investment of their time and effort to be worth it for them, which is really the big hurdle, right? The thing that stops someone from doing real damage is outside of having a good set of values or moral or ethics, is that's just too much time work to do too little harm. Now you can amplify your work significantly. You can amplify your reach significantly. You can amplify channels. So I can start a campaign, start scraping as much possible information as I can from Kevin Barrow, dox you, essentially automate the doxing process, but then do that to a whole bunch of different people automatically, and then start to social engineer and see which of you 100 Kevin Barrys that I've reached out to is stupid enough to send me back their social security number and their email or whatever other stupid shit that you can get someone to do. Or, hey, I got your email address. I didn't get the password on it. Can you ship that back? Right?
Yeah.
Whatever social, like, go AI, try those things. And then come back to me. But before you come back to me, I want you to widen the audience to 1,000, to 100,000, to 1,000,000. You're going to find stupid people.
Right.
So that's the danger, right? Like you and I, we weren't able to do that before. Now, in a couple of days and nights, no problem.
I'm more worried about like deep fakes and stuff, like using AI for like, I mean, I guess you could say propaganda, but even like when it gets to the point where I could be like, have Neal send him a voice message to so and so, you know what I mean? Or like
that's already happened. That is actually legitimately a thing. Where they get voice. They can often get your voice from YouTube if you're ever on YouTube. Anybody has a YouTube channel that actively posts where their voice is recorded, they've got hours, a few hours, several hours of their voice.
Right. No syllables.
Make sure you inform your family members and your spouse that there's a chance that you're going to get a phone call and it's going to sound like me asking you for something, and it ain't me. That's how it's happening, right? They'll go on to YouTube or Instagram or TikTok and they'll scrape a voice until they get enough of the voice. And they don't care who it is, but they have an identity. And there's all this, your identity is pretty easy to find commercially.
Right.
So even if it's an advertiser ID, there's a way to connect to you. So all of that connects to you. So now I know who you are. I have a digital identity. I have your voice. Try these different things to these 16 different relatives of theirs that I found on Facebook.
Dude, think about like when it, I mean, it's going to get involved in the campaigns if it's that big.
It's already started. You can find them on Instagram now. There are already deep fakes of Joe Biden and Trump. I've seen them.
Oh, yeah. And you could tell?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you can't tell. You can tell. The way you can tell is that the on the campaign pages, they'll indicate whether or not there were things seen that are theirs or aren't theirs, but they will most certainly index everything that is theirs. It's the only way they can really go is sort of that whitelist approach. And so now if you go to like Biden's campaign, you can reach all of his YouTube videos from there. If you look at his channel, you can reach them. If you see them anywhere else, it's not.
See, that's where it's going to get tough is like, I guess
now it's journalism has the issue.
Fact checking. You're not going to be able to believe anything that you like see. Like, like Taylor Swift come out and say,
kind of there already.
It is, but like most people don't. They're so simple, bro. They, you know, I think a lot of people don't dig deep. They just kind of. It's easier to just believe what. I think people are smarter than what you could give them credit for. But I think looking in like a mass pack, people trust what the person next to them says more than they trust themselves. You know,
we're all stupider than we think. Like, face it. TLDR is our social mantra. That's literally now our mantra. Who are we to say that's fake and that's real if if everything's too long and didn't read it?
Yeah.
Like we're asking people to abstract for us now. Right? We're all acting like we're VPs in some company. We're like, I don't read all that shit. Just send me the labor pains, liver baby.
It's gonna be like, I want to make an AI that helps you keep it real. That just fact checks all these influencers and kicks them off.
Done.
Shuts them down.
Done. You can easily make one now. There's so many of those bots in the AI space. It's prolific now. That's why I was telling you in our conversations earlier. Like AI is not just like the internet, right? Everybody was like, hey, you know, I got the internet. I got to find a way to make money with the internet. So sort of this internet first mentality. I've got a hammer. I've got to go find a nail or something else to hit with my hammer. Right. But you've got to start. You got to start with the nail. Like you literally have got to start with. Now I have this tool. What should that do to my ideation process, right? So now it opens up my capabilities, right? I can do so much more now. You don't have to tell people why or how. None of that matters as long as it's. So okay, I can create content, which frankly is really how you make money on your internet. That's the only real business that is proven for sole proprietors to make the best way to make money is social media and influence. It's through advertising. That's how you make money as a sole proprietor on the internet. I do have a buddy that makes a mint selling walking canes. And he got in like in 2002 and he's cornered the entire market. If you buy a walking cane online, it's 80% chance to pay for him. That had nothing really to do with the internet. Really. The internet gave him his channel to be able to quickly build up into the market share in a space that nobody thought about twice, so it was wide open. And you don't find those anymore. And if you do, you gotta be ready to sell some fucking walking canes for the rest of your life. Like
that happens to a lot of business owners I know too.
Yeah.
They're like, you think I woke up one day and thought I was gonna sell walking canes? And then they chase that dragon because it's the money mine.
It's paying the bills.
I had this guy that I waited on a lot when I worked at the restaurant. He made mechanically separated chicken. And I would sit there and think like,
that's gross.
Well, when did he like wake up one day and say like, you know what, I'm just gonna get in the mechanically separated chicken. But he makes this the dude made good money. I don't know if he just woke up and was like, you know, this is a problem I'm solving and I'm doing it, or like I would be interested.
You can call into things like that. Yeah.
Nice dude. But yeah. circling back to the AI and stuff, and the deep fakes, and I guess I'm trying to talk more about like the socially and like the deeper, darker world of it first. I mean, I want to talk about how it's going to help and stuff, but like when I talk to most people about it, I bring it up, and as you know, I've been studying it for a little bit now. Actually, since you brought it up to me at the gym, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't trust that stuff," right? "Oh, that's bad. I don't think it's going to stick." And like I told you, I was just more so interested, like Lex Friedman. Whenever he would talk about it, I'd be like, "This guy's crazy. Like, why is he into it? Like, is he just like chaos?" But like as I'm learning it, I can see where it's like a handy tool, and it's actually really cool. But
It is.
it's also scary. I work for a camera company, and we have cameras that recognize faces. You know, like you walk by, and it can say Neal walked by, Kevin walked by.
Right.
And we're like talking the other day, and I'm like, what happens when like AI, like you could either just like generate a face, or like, you could just start hacking the cameras to make it look like Neal walked by.
Yes, you can. I guess that makes it physical viability, right? So in other words, you could jump into the camera feed. Camera feeds don't even really exist anymore. That shit's over IP. So, and honestly, the facial recognition stuff now, it's not in your camera. It's obviously in the software, but it used to be proprietary value. Now you could go. You're learning about it now, right? You go to Azure Cloud right now. Start training up on people's faces. You can automate the training process. You can learn how to. It'll identify objects, right? So it looks at these things a frame at a time. Then it'll say, "Hey, I've got objects," and then it'll have you tag them. Say Neal, Larry, Joe, this person, that person, that person, and then train them with it. Right? You'll start training to it, just like if you. Well, shit, AWS has been doing it for years. If you upload your videos to AWS's photos, it'll automatically ask you, who's this person? It'll be your kid. Who's this person? It'll be your wife, your girlfriend, or both. Who's this one? Who's this one? And then you put names on them. And now it's recognizing everybody in every single picture and tagging them for you automatically. It's been doing that for years. Now that technology, though, is available non-proprietary. So you can come up with, that exists. You just need to show it in video, and it'll tag the images on the video. It doesn't just have to be people's faces.
Is that what Google's been doing all along when it asks you to click on pictures of cats or like traffic lights or buses?
Oh, that's the validation to see if you're a human.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the back end, are we just telling an AI that this is a bus, and making it smarter, like training it on like a mass scale?
That's similar to the process, and it's an interesting, way to do unsupervised learning. But also, unfortunately, you need perfect data. And as humans, we. So,
oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, yeah, we've screwed up CAPTCHA a couple times. We can't be teachers.
What percentage of like correction do they aim for when it comes to the pictures?
Ooh, that's a quiz question now. Oh, well, for pictures, you're like 70, 80%, but it depends on the use case. If it's for facial recognition for something super serious, you're going to have it higher. But you just need more training time for it to get good at that. Or you may have to find a different source capture method, like full face scanning, instead of just, I have 100 pictures of you, so you walk in the same way, so I can get the other side of your face kind of thing. Right. Versus walk up to the screen. I have a client in Boston. It serves, they essentially run all the James Bond labs. So they have this really cool secret projects everywhere. And when I walk in, it scans who I am, welcomes me, says the last time I was there, says who I was there to visit last time. And if there's a meeting scheduled, it already knows who I'm going to be with. And it's all handled with the door guy, who's just another, security guard who's there to stop me from just trying to break through the door. Gotcha. And so but that's how they're doing time cards now for all their hourlies. There's very few of those left, or you have contractors, they pop in, recognize your face, also check your time card for you. You don't have to go through all that crap. So in Vegas, for many, many years, they were probably one of the early use cases with a lot of money behind it that were non-governmental. Facial recognition was a big deal over 10 years ago. It was extremely effective.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, you're telling me it's been around for a while. Like you were like studying it back when you were in college.
Yeah, that was neural networks. Well, no, that's the cool story, man. Yeah, so the whole philosophy approach that I had was I was arguing along with, I think, a swelling philosophical trend was away from Big Blue, who was, I'm just going to build a gaming tree, right? All the possible moves and all their variances, like infinitely out. And then I write an algorithm that does that shit automatically. And it requires an Einstein and better to figure it out, how to do it. And then Big Blue computer to be able to compute through the algorithm and find the right answer to be the chess player, Gary Kasparov. So he beat Gary Kasparov, and it was a big deal. And that was actually just algorithms and math on a powerful machine. What our argument was in philosophy was toward what we called whole brain mimicry, which was we think that artificial intelligence and human reasoning will be found somehow just going to find ways to mimic how our brain works. So the concept of a neural network, which was nodes with lines connecting to nodes, and these connection variations that are almost infinite. And if I have one certain pattern, it fires off constantly. And then each of those nodes, call them a knuckle in my finger, right? Mm-hmm. Have different weights. Have this really complicated ability to do math with lots of patterns. This is my best lay, incorrect, but lay way of explaining it, which is generally how the brain works. And so by creating a neural network, the idea was that we could give something that was more human-like. And we were proving it late in the 90s with little pieces like fuzzy logic, little elements around it. And we were proving out the fuzzy logic was sort of a big deal, and that helped us, be able to slow down and accelerate the high-speed train in Japan. That was a big deal in the 90s. You couldn't really feel when you were leaving and slowing down. It was freaking creepy. Well, that was through fuzzy logic, the early parts that influenced neural networks and AI to become what it is. But it was voodoo then. It was like, yeah, we're going to go create a machine that is really just the same thing as the human body and then just like turn it on and it'll work. Well, fuck if it didn't. It's generally what did work. We created these neural networks. And so now we're doing them in hardware and we're calculating through them. Don't worry about the meeting. We're calculating through them quickly. And so we need a large number of cores to do these calculations quickly. And that's where we go to the GPU space, because GPUs can have tens of thousands of cores in them. So now we can just essentially process the entire neural network quickly, right? Or through the entire pattern. You train these though. And so that's what we did. That's what language models are. Is we'll set up a neural network. It's like an empty vessel or a baby brain. And then you start putting stimulus into it. And in this case, we might just keep giving it PDFs of documents. And then there's a much more proprietary training process I'm going to pretend to know, where there is a positive and negative impact or feedback essentially associated with it, just like humans. So we're just mimicking humans, and it started working. And we went into this space called natural language processing, and language models have a little home inside of natural language processing. There's voice is in there as well. And so the LLM, the large language models, which is GPT-4 or 3.5 or whatever one you use, or Bard at Google, or Llama, Meta Llama, right? They're all language models. They're all their own versions. And they're all good at their own things. But GPT-4 has generally been the one ahead of everybody else. But yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's just a network of nodes and the ability to kind of run your algorithm through that. I'm just totally bastardizing it, but it's even more boring if they get into the details. That's super, like, that set off all these easy questions, right? Even philosophically, like, are you getting fooled into consciousness? Like, is it really not that special? Is consciousness really remembering that I just fucking said something and that I said something before? Is consciousness just having memory? Right? So
what conclusion do you come to?
Process. When I die and I'm zapped up into outer space through my pineal gland and I visit the people that visited me on my last DMT trip, I'll find out.
That's what we should. I should have had you
Yeah.
leave a hit on the table. Like, all right, now it's time to travel.
Yeah. Ayahuasca.
It's funny. It's fun. You're staying like ahead of, or like you're going exactly where I'm thinking. When setting up the neural networks and then learning how, like sitting at home and being like, hey, figure out how AI works. Most people are gonna be like, I don't know where to start. But then, dude, like, what was it? A couple nights of reading. I'm starting, and you're like, I'm at the very tip of the iceberg, obviously. But a few nights of reading and studying for that Azure, um, it's it's like an algorithm, but like the way they build the neural network, as you just explained, I won't, go bastardize it more. But how you fill it with information, I started thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, aren't we doing that? Like you're born kind of blank and empty, and then you're just processing information 24/7. The only difference is like we go to sleep and that network can keep going. I mean,
Well, ours keeps going when we're sleeping. It just changes the job over. It's really interesting how much more interested in how the human brain works I've become as a result. And that's literally what got me here. It was I actually took a neuroscience class in San Diego State. Right when I was really into computers, I was super geeking out into computers, but I was really interested in neuroscience, and I converted everything that they were explaining to me. It was, for instance, I sat through a class to learn how the ear worked. And I was like, what the fuck is this in neuroscience? It's stupid. But it's another sensor. Okay. It's a sensor. It's a peripheral that I plug into the computer. Great. So how's this one work? How does it sound? And it's the sound vibrations that have an effect on pieces inside of your ear that work similar to a microphone, right? You got the drum going back and forth, you have little cilia in your little hairs in your ear, and they get vibrated by it. I'm like, holy shit, these are just complicated sensors. Isn't it possible then that I could recreate the entire human body with machines? That's where that entered into my head with probably a little bit of marijuana, LSD, but it gave me that same thought process, right? It gave me that whole angle, that idea of how to, that well, that mimicry piece could be real. And then boom, dude, like all of that. And this is such a big deal to me personally, because that was my super cool college thing. And I just wanted to go, I was impossible. I don't got to do any of this shit. I got to put our robots and AI away in 1995, 1996. To come back full circle and then weasel my way into being the dude that's putting them in at the Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 level, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the cool thing, the story I get to tell my kids, really, which is this thing was just science fiction, and I got to ride right, I got on that wave, if you're a surfer, right, just at the right fucking time, so that I could actually make it through. Think about how many college professors I talked to that are fucking dead and didn't even get to see this happen. They were saying that this was going to happen. I actually was in the middle of that fight when it was undecided. In the middle of it, I wasn't that cool. I was studying the fight. Then about AI, and then to be the dude just putting it in. The only thing cooler would have been to be building and training neural networks, but I know what their job's like, and I'd probably be dead of diabetes or something like that. It's just too much computers.
Yeah, they just keep you working. Just kind of.
They're just next level intelligent and focused, data oriented. It's all data science, really.
Do you think AI will ever be smarter than humans?
It already is, I think.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you want to measure it, right? Like in my measure, they are. Because if I can say this is going to be a debate about X, AI will win. If I can say it's about I can win. But if it's general intelligence, it's not quite there. In other words, we're just going to show up and then we'll start asking both of your questions at the same time. And you can go create GPT models to answer your questions on the AI side. That's where it actually gets smarter in a functional level. Like I've got a GPT model I built for a specific aspect of my job called site reliability engineer. Right? So I might have some customers that are trying to figure out how to get things not to go down so much, or how to get control or govern that, or get better visibility, or all of the above. And there's this whole pool of stuff around site reliability, and it's pretty much summed up in two books. I read those books. They were both like twice because I couldn't remember anything in them because they were just terribly boring. I probably thought about a million other things when I was reading them. And you get that, especially for me, I'm more of a hands-on dude, but I'm also a consultant now, so I'm not going to get hands-on. How the fuck am I going to do this? Well, I'll feed these books, which are publicly available, into GPT. And I'll make a GPT that's called an SRE expert. And I'll give it a prompt, a pre-prompt, right? Like a little background prompt that the user doesn't know about. It says, before you answer every question, you're going to read this book and this book. When you answer your question, you're going to use the following format and style. I had it, I told it to act like Deadpool, so the people were a little amused by it when they were interacting with it. It would have like this Deadpool sarcasm when it was teaching you SRE.
Oh, wow.
Right? I got for $200 a year, it was the only thing I did with GPT, or I could have paid for some pain in the ass, right? To do all of this work for me nowhere near as well, and frankly, would never be as smart as someone that reads the entire book every time they answer your question.
Wow.
Well, it doesn't have experience, right? So it doesn't have practical experience to share. There's a lot of it offered in the book, but if you had a corpus of personal experience that you're able to document, now it doesn't even matter what format, since it's multimodal. It could be video, it could be anything. It can consume that. Now it has all that experience to reference.
It's freaking cool and nuts at the same time.
So yeah,
It's
my SRE expert is smarter than any other SRE, any other person can be at SRE. Is it generally smarter than you? No, it just can't be. It's not yet.
it's like that could like I'm just thinking like that could fuck with college because like you said it yourself just there. You're like no experience needed, and it's giving you the professional answer. You know what I mean? So
Right.
who's to say people just don't start building databases like apps and you download the freaking medical diabetes database and now you're just asking the computer what to give. Hey, does this person have diabetes? Yes or no? Answer these questions. Oh, 98% chance that this person does not have diabetes. You know, just be kind of
Done. That's already done.
oh shit, really?
Yeah, there's already a significant amount of diagnosis that is provided for doctors to review and approve. Which that's the scary part as a citizen to some people. But it performs better than humans, the false positives. But the problem is that the biggest liability that they're concerned about is the false negatives. The false positives are essentially the measure we use for accuracy, right? Like, every time a mouse went by the screen, as a human, you were asked to say it was I saw 1, I saw 2, I saw 3, I saw 4. Well, let's say that number 2 is a squirrel. That's a false positive, right? Just an error as a human that you made. In cancer, that doesn't work as effectively for us, right? Like, oh, sorry, I was wrong. You don't have cancer. That sounds great. Instead of, oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You do have cancer. That's different. And that's what's holding back medical space from actually just letting everybody talk robots and find out they got shit wrong. Because one false negative could bring down a house.
So, but it probably is the future though.
Oh, it is. It's just always going to need humans. That's the whole Luddite thing, right, that we're running into, which is did those of us that were seeking a career at Blockbuster really think that the internet was going to ruin our lives? Did it ruin your life?
Y2K bug.
Well, no. Blockbuster was killed by Netflix, essentially, right?
Oh yeah.
So we used to go to the VCR shop and buy VCR. Then the internet essentially killed all the VHS tape business industry, right? So internet streaming, broadband, right? If you want to be specific, broadband is what killed. Not even just Netflix or streaming videos. It was the fact that you could is what killed Blockbuster and the movie rental place down the street that isn't, if it's still open, it's a fucking creepy joint.
You know, it's crazy. Off subject, but like back in the day, I almost bought a red box machine. I almost bought into one with a friend, and it was gonna be like, man, it was gonna be super cheap. I forget the number, but it was gonna be super cheap just to get a machine and throw it out front of like a Walgreens. And I almost did it. And I shit you not, like Netflix got huge within like 4 or 5 months after that. I was so happy I like slept on that deal. But I didn't even see it
I had
coming.
the same story. It's funny as hell.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that was started on a prototype. We were going to do our own thing and just kind of keep it local, right? Like we go down to Bill and Eileen's down here, they'll put one in. We'll go down to the gas and sip, they'll put one in, and we'll just, make a couple of bucks as kids because all they were PCs that were locked in. And it just needed to be able to dispense, like a jukebox that could dispense. And that was the only piece of equipment we had to purchase. So it was really expensive. And we built a prototype. And then we just kind of like, and lost motivation or interest or something and didn't do it. And then to your point, within about a year or so, there's still a red box at my supermarket though. But
Yeah.
I'm not raking it in, bro.
No. I just saw one at Walmart.
It's a DVD player. Like the only reason I hung on to my PS2 was because I had a DVD player.
That's a good point. I'm thinking I don't have one. I mean,
No.
I guess
You're screwed.
yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
It's all
on the way to the video recorder.
So, do you train AI for fun? Do you make AI models for fun, or is this all for business?
Always have a reason. I've always found a reason or had a reason. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I got drinking. I've always got to have a reason because then I go into outer space. So, so all the projects or all the things I've ever told you about, it was for something that I was working on or for my own benefit. I use it every day. Personally, I use it. But I use it in Microsoft Office, the Copilot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that finds me all kinds of old documents and trying to searching for my email. Just tell it, hey, I'm looking for a statement of work that somebody wrote that had, this company about this thing. I don't remember anything else about it. You can never be able to find that document in the real world when you work for a big company. You'll never find it. But this now can be like, I think I found four that are kind of like that. And then boom, it's in there. It's amazing. And I use it to, if I've got really long email threads of FYI CC emails, which they drive me crazy. I'll get these emails and they're like, FYI. And then it's like, just scroll, bro. Like, there's just so, I'm not reading it. It's not reading it. FYI means not really important.
Right.
So delete. Now I can hit a summary button that says, the customer is upset because Larry didn't submit time card. It's like really all of that.
It sums up the email. You just copy and paste it.
In Microsoft Word, you just write whatever I want, however I want. I just brainstorm it on a piece of paper, and then I highlight it, and I tell people, like that. And it's all of a sudden very professional. And then I can go inside and tell the editor to be more concise. He writes everything. I don't have to really write anything anymore. I use GPT to frame out my presentations. So I use GPT to create, let's say I had to do right now I'm working for a really big company, and I have to do an enterprise architecture strategy for rationalizing commercial databases. Yeah, I got that one in my back pocket. So I can spend a week on this board figuring out my strategy, and then maybe a little bit of research to see if there's best practice around it, but typically there isn't for specific things. Or I can just have GPT to create one for me. And I might not like it, but it's an iteration. And so that's generally now how I work. That saves me days of work now. I'll go, what's a good strategy for rationalizing? These are things important to me. These are things important to the customer or client. These are things important to the partners. How should I rationalize what they're going to do with their database? And then it'll break it down. It'll give me an outline format. Oh, I'm not doing any of that stupid shit. But hey, I need you to think about economics and licensing optimization. Oh, I have a good idea, Neal. I've worked that into your outline. And it works it into my outline. Now I've got an outline. I literally presented that shit to my team internally. I was like, guys, it's the first meeting we were getting together. Like, Neal, it flips me out when you tell me we're just going to have a meeting about strategy. Well, I've got it framed out. Here's where we're starting. I want you guys to bounce off. Oh, this is great. I don't know if I've got to change this much. Well, we kind of do it because I want to get paid. It's not good. So we got to make it human. Right now, it's LGBT. So it's all that shit. Start, put a little more context into it. I literally saved my client probably, honestly, 24, 36 hours.
Oh, wow.
$300-$400 an hour. So you do the math. How much is GPT worth?
Like, what did you say, $200 a year? Oh,
$300 or $400 an hour. And we'll call it, let's say I only saved 20 hours of my life.
I got what you're saying.
Right. So that was a $6,000
$6,000. Yeah.
Hey, it used to piss off clients that it would take us a week to figure out the entire strategy until they actually had to go do it themselves and go like, okay, never mind. Right now, it just gets done. Right now, it just gets done, or an iteration of it gets done. But Luddites, fear not, because the reality is the biggest impact this is going to have right now is creating content, writing. That's the biggest now impact. Writing, there's a lot of other cool things, but productivity-wise, like the super easy one to pick, like, why would I go pay a technical writer or a content writer anymore? Is the first thing that crossed my mind as a small business owner that had GPT, right?
Yeah.
If you were very small, you would freelance your technical writing. Yeah, copywriter, same thing, right? Any specialty writing element. People that write PMPs or policies and procedures. Either you work for a really big company or you work for a contractor. When you work for a contractor, they're probably paying you $80, $120 an hour to write that stuff, to do technical writing. They go to GPT, and within, 15, 20 minutes, they got all their money back.
Yeah. It's crazy because, like, I remember because I had a couple online stores and I had to have, like, return policies and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that's what the person I hired did. He just went to Chat GPT and said, hey, cover his ass for returns and bounce backs and yada, yada, yada. Because it was very basic and very professionally written. But,
yeah, and that's exactly, well, if they even had GPT then, right? But they had a job and a skill set. So, but here's what's different, right? Here's what's changed. You're a CEO of XYZ company and you do packaging or you do whatever else. Are you really going to go fuck around with GPT? You have time for this? Do you even want to think about the fact that you don't have your return policy written to your webpage? Dude, if you're doing stuff like that and you're the CEO of a company, you're kind of getting in your own way. Like, the only thing you should be doing is growing your business or making it more efficient.
What about covering your ass, though?
That's what your attorney's for.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be successful and scale and make money, you can't do all that shit yourself. That's literally
your
the difference between. Well, there's
GPT
held out too.
Right? I just got three for me. Like,
done that a million times. There's been attorneys that been disbarred for GPT.
I keep thinking this is funny, and then I'm finding out that everyone's doing all this kind of stuff. So,
dude, that's actually the big thing. What that stopped me? Like, I had I can stand up a resume writing $5 resume service, right? Like, literally market to everybody on LinkedIn. Write your resume for $5. Just push this button, resume in for $5 in 5 minutes. And then not to pay a single writer. It would scope their LinkedIn, and it would GPT the hell out of their document for them, and I just need to write code that would do the formatting.
Let's get into this. This is great because that is another, like, would you call that ethical? Like an ethics, or like what you're saying, like no one's actually doing the work. You just made a program that does the work. But is that wrong or is that fine?
It's totally fine. Look, if I go buy a car from you, unless I am buying it on the value that it was handmade by people and that no two could possibly be the same because this is an artisan sports car that was put together by your bare hands. You machined the damn screws. Like, unless I'm buying it for that specific handmade, curious, whatever reason, which nobody ever is for anything except for fucking Beanie Babies, then you shouldn't care how it was made.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. Money doesn't leave my hand unless it's worth the value that I'm handing out.
If you found out your Porsche, your brand new Ferrari, your brand new LaFerrari was 30% assembled by robots, would you be like, oh, no, fuck that. I don't want that car now.
Mm-mm. If I bought it, it's mine. I accepted it, you know.
I don't bought it for what it was. You bought the product, right? So no, I don't think at all it is even remotely close to an issue.
But what about like
you run around if you run around telling people that you wrote it and lying about it, and that's different personal thing that you're doing wrong, and also you're infringing on some hard to sort of govern copyright laws that exist now around using it. Like, for instance, you technically can't copyright anything GPT made for you. But there are channels for you to make money. So, for instance, if you write an ebook, you can sell it on AWS Marketplace, and you get a lower tier of royalties. It's only like 20 or 30% of royalties because it was written by a language model. And you can't claim it. Now, the bigger issue at hand is content people. The question was, those that are writing content, how they're really impacted is they got a promotion. This one lands the best, right? All y'all that are in love with writing, unless it's poetry or it's novels, that are artisan novels because you have a Hemingway writing style. By the way, GPT could do that, no problem. But let's just say that, does it matter if you have something help you structure your book and write your book for you? As long as you're the editor, because that's the promotion you got. Everybody that was big into their own writing, writing their own shit, you've been promoted to an editor. Got something else, write that, and all you do is fix it. It will take you half the time if you're super anal pain in the ass, and 10% of the time if you're not. So why wouldn't you just become the editor instead of the writer? And that's literally how I approach it. I don't have an ego hit by putting something out or publishing something that was written by GPT. And as a matter of fact, I would probably state it at the top. You can still thank me for the value of the thing that I put here for you and I made for you. Why would you give me shit about using power tools or hand tools?
Yeah, I guess it is like a tool. And I think I know what you would. I think I know where you would go with this. But what about art? Like, what about how it can create art pieces? Is it still original because it's your thought and your prompts? You're just letting the computer do it for you?
But the question isn't originality. The question is ownership. Right? Like, yes, it's original because nothing else like it exists. Nothing at all. So it's certainly original.
Like if I can't paint that bottle of Buffalo Trace over there, if I can't paint it, but I tell GPT to paint it, or one of those other art ones, is that still just as good as my painting?
Yes. Yeah. Now, it depends on the value that you're appealing to. Well, wait a minute, let me see the back of the painting, let me smell the ink, or smell the fucking paint, or have someone look at it and make sure it's all original, or am I good with having a print? Because I don't know about you, but I'm good with prints. It's not because I don't have the money or not, it's because I really actually don't want to put, like if I had Starry Night and I had all the fucking money I needed for Starry Night, I would get the print done and hide that shit somewhere and be nervous for the rest of my life. Why do I need to have it? But that's my personal value. Right. You go down the Upper East Side of New York, and everybody's got their, all their original shit. and they like to put it out there, that's a different value, right? Those folks, yeah. But it's real. It's really digital art that the questions are on, right? It's not like if you went and painted it, and then somebody could digitally mimic it. It's different. I'm not even really there, right? Yes, you could print photos on canvas, but even I can tell you it wasn't painted, right? I can tell you it was printed on there with a photo.
Right.
You can't see the brushstrokes. But when it comes to digital art, but digital art generally had that problem already, right? So then they went this whole NFT thing where everything's a non-fungible token attached to it, and then it's definitely the original, the real digital one. Then you're going down this whole path again. It's like if I walk through your house, dude, and you show me all of these Van Gogh paintings on your wall, and you know, 15 different artists, I would be really impressed with your taste in artwork. And I would ask you lots of questions about the artist and what you liked about the painting or the piece.
Mm-hmm.
What I would not be doing is looking very closely, trying to figure out if the shit's fucking real, and if you were rich and you were fucking a collector, and you were collecting original things. Like that's just my value. Now, if you dude are walking in going, oh man, is that an original Banksy? Holy shit, you're like the coolest guy ever. Versus if you just had Banksy shit up on your wall. Like,
Yeah.
but that's not fair. I'm not an artist, right? So if I created some art, is my shit under threat? It is. The service industry for graphics is definitely under threat.
That's I kind of see both sides, but like, so art, there are collectible art, and there is like an art market. Like, you know, you're mentioning like Banksy's and Van Goghs and shit. Like, there are ways that you can invest your money in art. But like you said, if people like Prince, or someone could like go on GPT and say, paint me a picture of Neal in the Starry Night style, you know what I mean? And you get like, next thing you know, I got like Neal and Van Gogh. You know, I just think that it, like, art markets might take a little bit of a hit. Like you said, like digital, I mean, logo designers. You could probably tell GPT, like, make me a logo like this, and then just refine it till you like it.
Yeah, I already did start doing that.
Really? I
Yeah.
gotta come over and need help.
Dude,
It'll take me a week to make a logo for myself, because, you know, I'm an artist. So like I've got the programs I can do digitally. I can do you know, paint, but like, or I hire somebody for, you know, anywhere from $100 to $2,000 to make me a logo, give me all the files. I mean, what stops me now from going to GPT and being like, hey, make me a logo? You know, it's not going to.
absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can do it. I did a logo for a school. Um, let's see, do a anime version. Wouldn't come up. But, okay.
I think economically it's going to shift things around. I just think that
It's definitely going to. So it's going to. Um, oh wow, I screwed you up.
did it.
So I fed your image in here. Actually, I can screen share. Close all of the bad sites.
DMT.com. Next day, oh shit.
I said, hey, I did a screenshot. Do an animated version of this. It, you almost look
Not
like
too
Bobby.
bad. Do look more like Bobby.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it to try again here.
Yeah, you could put like, type in like Akira Toriyama. That's like the Dragon Ball Z creator, and it might do like his style.
Do it in the style of him. Yeah, you'd have to tell me how to spell that shit.
I got you. I'm gonna have to Google it too. Just
Here we go.
that's better.
That's a little better looking.
There we go.
There's no dog picture. There is a dog picture in the background, dude.
It picked that up, and the plant.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
From that.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude. Like the logo you were working on that you sent up to me.
Oh yeah.
It was just choking on it for some reason. So I couldn't do anything with it. But I was like, give me 3 iterations of this, and I just poke it in there. But yeah, dude. Back in the day when I started a bunch of little websites and I was creating sweet logos for them because it was cool, I was paying like $250 per logo. And so I had like 5 or 6 of them. It's starting to cost me a lot of money, right? Especially in those days. Wow, dude, this is even better. I get instant gratification. I don't have to wait for this person. I don't have to ask Google Translate to tell me what the hell they said in an email. I don't do any of that.
I think if you're a creative person, it's actually awesome because like I come up with ideas quicker than I can paint them or draw them. So to me, I'm like, this is kind of cool, but at the same time, it is going to saturate the value of it, in my opinion. I've been,
It only hurts the ones that are creating that shit.
Can you refine it just to see if it works or how well it does it? Akira Toriyama's Akira IRA space TORI Yama YAMA. That'd be nuts. I mean, that's pretty insane. It can think like
it's gonna take a shot. I've had it show me some weird shit in the image creation side. Like, the common issues with 6 fingers, or I got a really good one I can show you too. It really has an odd image. It's like a bad dream or something.
I heard it has issues with fingers and stuff like that.
It's gotten a lot better, like in the last couple of weeks. I don't use the image thing that much. It's definitely was the most entertaining for the kids. I did this whole workshop with the elementary school, and the kids absolutely loved it. And I was using it. It was integrated with a storybook, and I would walk them through a storybook world and let them essentially do their own adventure, but in the world of the storybook that they had all read. It's like their first chapter.
Oh, that's cool.
The whole chapter book in PDF. I guess it was publicly available. I hope it was. It's not publicly available GPT. So all of that shit went in there. And then I prompted it to share an image every time it described something. And it was kind of shady with that. I would do it once in a while. I have to remind it. It was trying to save me some money probably on turning down tokens. Now this happens when there's a lot of people using it. Right? We need more GPUs.
No way when it pops it out.
Yeah, so those kids, those kids got to have this whole experience and just essentially think of your favorite book as a kid. Mine, I don't know why. Maybe the movie came out as the only reason that comes to mind. I wasn't necessarily a kid. I was maybe in middle school. It was Dune. The book was like, that's it. I read it like 4 times. If that could be entered in to GPT, so people could have an experience, or the Star Wars scripts to be entered in, like you literally could have your own very special, very contextualized, very personal Star Wars experience and still be reading a book. And this is where the interesting story comes up. Like, well, wait a minute. Is it a book that you're reading, printed, somebody was okay with it, right? They wrote it, it got put to press, it got edited, and it's the same words all the time as a book, right? But what about creating this experience? My kids read 30 or 50,000 words of their own experience.
Oh, yeah.
Did they read a book?
It's like interactive. Like, what if that took place with the video games? Like you create your own Dune story.
But that got too boring. Well, that's an issue. That's a different issue, right? Like I get into a video game, and if I got to sit through this still screen shit with subtitles, I'm gonna go nuts. Right? Like, but far and away, we're beyond that. Like, there's whole movies that are animation, and there's videos. There's a whole video creation. AI can create video now. That's kind of creepy, realistic. I mean, you definitely see it in the deep fakes. But all that shit, like, we get scared about it. Like, deep fakes, you get scared of it. But What could you do that's good with deep?
With a fake? I don't get along with fake, bro. I can't think.
So I'll tell you a story, Ben. And this one, it's a real story. There was this mother in Japan that lost her child, and lost the child on really bad terms. Like, I also have another story, unfortunately, a personal one for me. I try not to tell because I would get me upset. But I also have a buddy where I went to school with him when he was fighting with his mom in the car. She was my ride. And they were really shitty to each other. And we were in elementary school. We were in like second grade. Got in a fight with his mom. Totally hated her. And I'm getting out of the car. I was out to get out of there. You know, being a 7-year-old or 8-year-old kid. And then she never came home. She died in the car accident. So this kid had to take that burden at 7 years old. Like, that's how he left his mom. That's how he left it with his mom. And I never saw that kid again. I mean, I saw him, but he was never ever the same kid again. He went from best friend and like an acquaintance maybe. His personality completely changed. He was very, very introverted. He was not interested in people. He had special teachers for the rest of the second, third, and fourth grade. And this was in the 80s in New Jersey. So it's not like we were the beacon of mental health, right? So we're like, come on, toughen up, kid. You got another mom coming soon. Your dad will start dating kind of mentality. But nobody was really there to think about the fact that he told her he hated her and then she died.
Right.
And how he probably gave him up. I mean, he had a little moment with me, trying to think about, like, right, like that same day when we went over their house, to talk to his dad. And he just wouldn't stop, just repeating it, screaming and yelling. And what he had said to her, and that she can't be dead, and all this stuff was terrible. And I saw this thing that that Jerry from the Cowboy Bill, the Cowboys did years ago through HP, where he had this persona. I don't know if you've seen it at Cowboy Stadium or seen a video of it, but he has a screen that it's him standing up there. Jerry, dude, if I pay attention to football, it's almost embarrassing.
I know you're talking about that.
The owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, something like that. Whatever. We're gonna get flamed for not knowing. But anyway,
it's the Cowboys.
It was on the screen. Yeah, it was the Cowboys. And it had the whole audience, and the audience was able to ask questions of his avatar, and he was able to respond. Now, it was pre-seeded type stuff, right? They gave it a battery of 1,000 possible questions for him to be prepared to answer to, so it was programmatic. But that experience, when I saw it, I was like, that could be very useful in mental health, especially for the loss counseling, right? Grief counseling. What if, because what we can do now is far better than even what you could do with Jerry Jones, which is a complete language model experience with an avatar that looks exactly like your mother. They just did it for Joe Biden, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just saw Joe Biden deepfake. You've probably seen the Elon Musk ones. You've probably seen the Zuckerberg ones. Right? There's Mr. Beast. There's several deepfakes of Mr. Beast.
Rogan endorsing stuff.
Yeah, then all of a sudden he's endorsing everything. I was like, what, dude? You need some money? I'm like, no, it's all these deep fakes out there, right? Now, if I have a language model and it can go behind that fake and be that fake, and if I can converse with a language model, I can train a language model to be very much like my mom, which we know today you can do that. It's only through text. Then now I can have an avatar and I can actually interact with my mom.
You could integrate like your text messages between each other.
You could totally do that today. You could actually have a persona bot. Like if your person that you talk to is well documented,
mm-hmm.
right? So conversationally, not written, conversationally documented, and their voice is recorded. It is absolutely uncanny. You literally really have to zoom in and look for it. So why couldn't I interact with someone I've lost for the right reasons? And I went as far as putting a paper out for it. But it's not something people are willing to take a risk with right now. That's really what it is. And I'm not willing to put more work into it. I think it's already ahead of it.
That's very, damn, that's like a very, got my mind going a bunch of ways right now. One, I don't know if that's, I can't tell you if that'd be like healthy or not, because you might get addicted to it.
The first thought I had, which was a lot of people would vanish, right? Like,
I've lost really good friends of mine, dude. And like, if I could, I've had dreams where I hung out with them, and I woke up and I'm like, it hurts. You know, I'm not a very emotional like person, and there's like times where I sit there and I'm like, man, if I just had one more day, or man, if he could see what he missed from that time to now, and so I'm even thinking from my perspective, like, I don't know, like, it'd be nice, but like,
could you get over the hump?
Maybe right? It could heal the right
people from the outside. It definitely will heal the right people. It would even heal the wrong people. It's just, it's not quite at the level of hypnotism to me. Like, and that's where my head is on this, right? Like, I think right now it's easy to say if you are willing to try, it's going to help you. But then my initial thought is, you know what? Like, I'm lucky so far, so it's really hard for me to feel it. Like, I lost my grandmother, I lost my grandfather, and there's a lot of stuff I wish I could update them on. Right? Like that you know, I went into the Navy. My grandfather would have absolutely loved that, but he died before I even made it into high school. So he had no clue on where I ended up with my life. I wish he could have saw it, but I actually wish that he could have seen it. It's not that I wish that I could have gotten his feedback that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So you got to think about that. But if there are things like the last thing I said, now think about this. You are driving your kid in a car and then you die. And that's the last conversation you have with your kid. And then you're off floating into the ether or whatever you believe in. Are you thinking for real that your kid hates you? No. You know that your kid doesn't hate you. You know that.
Right.
And then when the kid grows up, they know that, but they don't accept it. So maybe that's the only one little thing they need to do is they do need to say it out loud and then have their mom say it, just like their mom would have said it, for them to believe that that's how that it's okay. It's okay. It sucks for the person that said, I hate you. I wish I was never born, or whatever shitty thing you could say, and then your mom runs right into an intersection and gets hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And vanishes. And you know, though, right? Like it's so hard not being there. It's not an objective thing, but we all want to say there's no chance that your mom was driving like absolutely convinced that you hated them. Your mom was just frustrated. You were frustrated. You both said things, and your mom's a grown up, and your mom knows this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what grief counselors are burdened with, trying to get into someone's head. And then you don't even know my mom, bro, right? Like, how can you even, like, it's really hard being a grief counselor to help a kid.
Right. But, you know, like, Elon, this is another thing. I think Elon Musk is working on trying to download consciousness.
Yeah, well,
so something like that would be very possible. Like downloading your consciousness to like basically almost like a hard drive, and that kid could visit his mother's consciousness. You know, just
it's more obtainable. You know what? It's sort of a Turing black box thing. It's an interesting conundrum.
All right.
If I download your consciousness, then it must be you, right? No, it's not you. If I get it through that channel and that format, it must be the real, closer to the real you, right? Sure. Let's find out. So you go ahead into the Neuralink and find a way in 100 years, and they're actually downloading consciousness, whatever the fuck that is. And then
Right.
I'll just go get all of Asai's video and voice, which he has volumes of it. All of it, the way he talks, the way he reacts to questions and answers, how he reacts to serious questions, how he reacts to not so serious questions, what he gets emotional about. I'll figure that all out because there's footage. And then I'm going to do my best to mimic them. You put both of them in front of you. And let's say that they both do a fantastic job and I can't tell the difference between the two. That's the black box.
Yeah.
So whatever's fucking behind it, I don't care. Just like, hey, does it hurt your feelings if you bought a book and found out GPT wrote it? If I fucking like the book, it didn't hurt my feelings at all.
Right.
It's the same black box, right? So black box, can't tell which one. This one, attainable now and today. Neuralink, not there yet. And then
Right.
you've got this whole biomedical thing, this cyber thing, right? People have got to get okay with this shit get put in their heads and in their brains. Dude, my parents wouldn't let a joystick touch my hand for more than an hour at a time in the late 80s, right? I do it an hour because that thing would just somehow reach into my hands or in my eyes and just melt my brain.
Yeah.
What do you think? How long is it going to take for us to put implants in our brain and be okay with it? And that's
Mm-hmm. It's, I mean, maybe that's
freeze
the
my
next thing.
body, save your DNA, go get a bunch of Neo, and make another you for somebody else. It ain't gonna be you. Like, I don't see that. Like, how can I carry my awareness? Like, that's also the one. That's the one that you could lose sleep on, bro. Like, all right, so they're downloading my consciousness, and then they flip a switch, and now I'm over here. To the spectator, you're over there. Now you're fucking dead.
Right. I think that's like, I mean, kind of similar to how you were thinking like AI is like, that's like that sci-fi shit, you know? One day that might be the next thing. But
Dude, crazy shit.
the other thing I was thinking about and kind of going back to more reality and nowadays, what you were saying with how it could be used for good and it's fake. I came up with something. And I brought it up, I think last podcast or the one before that, where I heard Suge Knight doing a podcast from prison. And he mentioned, it was really quick, but he mentioned he was excited to talk because the only thing he has to talk to is this little AI thing in his room. So it's like they put like an AI chat bot with him to talk to. And, you know, that might, people go to solitary confinement and come out a little bit crazy, a little bit stirred up. Maybe a chat bot in your room might give you that Wilson effect from Castaways where you got like purpose.
Definitely.
You know?
So if Wilson can get the Wilson effect, then something interactive most certainly will. And it can also do a great deal for rehabilitation. Like if I put you, and this is almost draconian, but if I put you in a room and you're stuck there for the rest of your life, and the only thing you can be exposed to for the rest of your life are other criminals, what are the chances of making a recovery?
Very slim.
They're not high. I mean, I can't think of a good trajectory for you unless you're like the dude from Shawshank Redemption and you hide in the library. Right? It's just not going to happen. And let's face it, even the academic intellectual types aren't going to just hide in the library. So you're going to learn some new skills of being criminal, and you're going to adopt the culture. Even worse, if you weren't really if you just kind of fucked up and made a bad choice once, you got a better chance of now being in the club. Versus, what if I locked you in a room and I let you only talk to ChatGPT, but it was the jail version, just to make sure, you know, it was only about my recovery topics, or that everything would eventually turn toward recovery. Like, that's easy as hell. Like, you can have a conversation with them, not everything is rated PG and down. It knows what that means. So if you won't see it on a PG-13 movie, you're not allowed to talk about it. So PG-13 up, not allowed. You can literally write a prompt like that. Just talk PG and down to these people, That covers all your topics, all your things. And then
Talk about
make
it.
sure that things that always come back to, things always circle back to the following recovery topics, items, or approaches or frameworks. And so it'll find a way to circle your little conversation around why does poop stink, because you're fucking bored, to some lesson or term or some thought process that helps you with recovery. Maybe it'll explain to you all the kinds of jobs people have, in labs looking through poop, or what's really interesting about poop. Maybe you could fucking figure out that at the end of the day, you want to now go be an RN because we're having the right kinds of conversations about it. We're not talking about how to make a bomb or how to write code that'll take down the power system through your cell phone at the gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chatbot, show me a map of the jail, please. Chatbot, give me a serial number to get out of here. Like, start creating new fobs out the doors. I think.
Yeah. I've got a Scarlett Johansson chatbot, so I would talk to her right now, and it's like I'm holding a conversation with Scarlett. And I can just ask her anything. You could ask her, what was Cinco de Mayo really about? And gave me the whole lesson. She actually gave my kids the lesson and made my wife jealous the whole time. And dude sounds like she's on the phone. 100%. Not like a robot.
That's insane. You know what else would be cool with that, with like the prison thing, is somehow gathering data from the prisoners to find out which ones, like when they get out, are hireable, which ones are more likely to show up to work, learn, get better, not relapse, not
you
get
would collect data on them.
Like
you would be collecting data. See, yeah, you're thinking the right way. That's actually where the real value would be. That's in the business I'm in. The front door we go in is, the good deed. But the real value that gets the county to buy in on a technology like that is the amount of data I will collect about their what do they call them? This is how unjailed I am. Inmates.
Oh, and
yeah, thinking they would collect endless amounts of data on your inmates. All this shit that they wanted to know about them, what they're interested in, what dangerous areas they're in. Like if they're asking lots of questions in the wrong area, there's a significant amount of data. You don't have any rights in jail. So, well, you don't really, but not a bad idea. And that's how those ideas go through. It's also what stops the shit from getting used. Like, knowledge base. I'm doing a knowledge base right now for a really big company to help with knowledge transfer. They're letting a whole bunch of employees go, and they're going to hire about 10% of them back in to do the jobs that all of them have. It's just a game that publicly traded companies play to move things off the books. So they're moving all this operational expense off the books, but they've got to get all the knowledge from these, 400 or 500 people into the heads of 40 or 50 people. So we're interviewing everybody, collecting the transcripts. I started doing that today, actually. Interviewing people, collecting transcripts, collecting all the documentation that we can find, all the websites and wikis that they've stood up internally for information on all the infrastructure. There's just volumes of information. And then one of the biggest risks for letting so many technology-related people go is that nobody knows where the bodies are buried. Nobody knows how to fix the thing. It's a really big risk. And so we're kind of held hostage. Now we do this big download from all these exiting people. Every conversation, every detail they ever said that in the past, which feels like eons ago now, I had to write notes and, man, I'm probably going to miss something. Or maybe record the entire conversation and listen to it again. Just for this one person out of 500, right? And then I have to get all that notes and figure out how I'm going to, right? It's been millions of dollars for us to do that. Now we hold conversations and going on. We can go down a rabbit hole. Every rabbit hole we go down is now fully documented into the language model and fully indexable. All of that information that we collect in all those interviews gets dumped into a bucket. All of their web page and wikis, they get dumped into a bucket. Their document, actually, I think I have it up here. Yeah. The document management system, they use a system called Confluence. That works through an API. The language model talks to the document management system collect out of that all the same stuff, just like it was the transcripts, right? It's just another source. It was all that stuff into a big bucket, all the conversations, all the things. And then the new person says, the left-handed smoke shifter is down. What do I do? Use the gyro. Like, it'll give you the answer because it's been captured and thrown into this big bucket and trained into an LLM. And so now the LLM can just reference that. It's called retrieval augmented generation. They're able to go to the source and retrieve information and then use that information. So you could use that, right? It's mind-boggling, and it is saving tons of money for a lot of people. It's not the reason that they're letting all these people go. It's not at all the reason. It's just enabling it to happen. So you can be mad about that if you're someone that's let go, right?
Right.
So that wasn't the AI who took the job, man. It was generally the cloud.
The cloud, like the data gathering.
No, just cloud infrastructure that you don't run anymore. When you used to run 27 databases, 27 data centers around the globe, all of the cloud. Yeah, I don't need a guy to fix the air conditioners in 27 different locations anymore. And that's just the damn air conditioner.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just goes on and on. All that shit's gone now. That's what's killing jobs, not AI.
It's interesting how, like, so obviously learning about it, me looking into it, I'm like, how can this make me money? Where's the monetization? And it's kind of interesting, like in my head originally, I'm like, okay, I learn AI, I go get an AI job or something like that. But as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing you're figuring out how to make it save money, and you're using it to save time, which gives you money. Like, you're not necessarily making a product, you're making a more efficient Neal. You know what I mean? To build.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
you're kind of using it as a tool to get a lot more done a lot faster, which turns into more money for you rather than just building a product.
Let's face it, we've got a little bit of the little brother effect going on with AI. It's kind of cool. All of us should be embracing the hell out of AI because of the little brother effect. And what I mean by that is, if anybody had a little brother or was a little brother, you recognize that the little brother is held at way lower standards than the big brother. There's going to be this period of time where people don't really recognize or don't know how to measure, don't know how to obligate people with their new level of productivity that should be expected out of AI, right? So, for instance, those that are fearing work are going, well, wait a minute. The second that my boss knows I have power tools, they're going to say that my production quota needs to go up twice. So who the hell really saves on this? Honestly, that's probably going to happen, but not right now. So we get the little brother effect. We still live in the house. We get to play Fortnite at 6 now because our 10-year-old got it. We get to do all these things now, right? Like, that's literally what we're getting right now. So if there's anything, for selfish reasons, like, you need to use this shit for your everyday job as much as possible. If it's to write better emails for work, if you're trying to get a promotion and all you're doing is like retail management or whatever else, anything that you think the AI can't help, it certainly can. Anytime that communication is required, anytime you're trying to solve an issue, and your willingness to sign up for it, like, don't be afraid, have confidence. Like, I sign up for all kinds of shit now that I never, ever, ever would have signed up for. Like, taking on an entire, I've been in knowledge management transformations in the past, but taking on an entire one and leading it, oh, holy fucking nail biter, man. Like, that's some scary shit. Like, it's all on me when that shit doesn't work out. What am I going to do? Dude, I don't even have fear anymore. What's your framework going to be? Give me 15 minutes. I'll look for my copy. Wow, GPT generates the motherfucker. And then I edit it. It's not like I don't understand it. It's just that I don't do knowledge management 24/7, 365.
Right. Instead of running around the office and trying to talk to 10 people who don't remember where they put it, when they put it, who touched it last, who got the email first. Now it's just like, hey, here's your answer. I got it for you.
That's right. For those of us who can't be more productive with it, like, if you're doing any content writing for an employer now, But sorry, you're sleeping if you don't use this shit. You're sleeping. And your boss probably reminded you that it existed then at that point, because they're probably worried that you are and that you're not earning your medal. But they don't know. They can't figure it out. They're not interested. All they're going to notice is that your shit is great and it's coming out in seconds instead of days.
Where do you see it
Or
going?
take the days.
Do you see it getting paywalled, or do you see it getting like?
Oh yeah. Well, I think what it's going to do is it's going to really. So there's been this side gig economy building up in the U.S. It's pretty strong. Largely driven by like the whole influencer space and the YouTuber space. There's a significant amount of market now that's being captured by sole proprietors that are associated with content.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think the biggest impact is going to be. It's either going to help you create more content, better content, or both. And if you're not using it to do that in this space, you're already going to be falling behind the big boys.
Podcast.
This whole, oh yeah, you can find on YouTube, you can find YouTube videos about automating YouTube videos. And I think it's only because I have kids in my house that know how to get to YouTube. And I'll wake up and I'll come out in the living room and they're watching these videos that are just oddly hard to stop watching, but terrible, right? Like, which of these do you like? This one or this one? Which one of these do you like? This one or this one? My kids are captivated. And then I come out there and I'm like, well, yeah, I'll take the Ferrari over Lamborghini. Oh, yeah, I'll take that over there. So I'm like, I'm getting all sucked in. Like, if you like this, subscribe. Dude, I went in there just not to subscribe by any means because it's brain candy bullshit. It's just like watching a train wreck. And this guy had thousands of videos with thousands of views. He's been automated. He doesn't even make the videos.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even make them. That's all AI. That's where it's going. That's where I think the biggest blip on radar, the biggest needle mover, is because there are literally hundreds of thousands of citizens in the U.S. that are making $1 million a year in content from providers. That's the biggest mover, I think. It's not the commercial. In the commercial space, it's almost already old. It's now legal risk management stuff. It's de-risking is the conversation we have in the commercial space. It's not like, hey, really, really big healthcare provider, that customer of mine based out of the Midwest. I made an answer to myself. I came in and I was like, guys, have you thought about doing this with AI? I'm like, I thought I was way ahead because I knew how to do it now. Right? Like before, I didn't even know how to do it. Now I can have this conversation. We can be reading through all your chart data. Like every single chart for all of your hospitals could now be read and fed into a language model. Think about what we can do with this. I can quickly audit every single chart. I can quickly call out every single chart associated with every thing that was similar, which is just mind-boggling in the healthcare business, right? I could identify high-risk doctors based on the vagueness in their charting, isolate them, and even automate a couple emails or something to them to get them to maybe put a few more words in their chart so that we wouldn't get our pants suit off. When was I going to do that? How was I going to do that before? Hey guys, you got to buy this. Like, Neal, like we already bought that product like 4 years ago, bro. We did. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah. So it's already like all that really, really cool stuff. We ain't thinking up new stuff that they haven't at least already tried. In the big game stuff. That's what I feel about the grief counseling thing, is that I started pushing on it so hard. And then I started getting feedback. Oh, yeah, it's kind of like that thing. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, I think this has probably run its route already. Somebody already figured it out. Then I found an old Japanese documentary, not old, but a couple of years old, Japanese documentary about a mom that lost her daughter. And they used VR to help her with her grief counseling. And they did the same thing they did with the Jerry Jones example I gave you. They fed it 1,000 possible answers and had an answer. I mean, good. They had the avatar that looked like their daughter. Have 1,000 possible variations of answers that every mom would possibly ask. And so she was gamified, right? It was like a game tree algorithm. It wasn't actual intelligence. So she would ask a question, and then it would just have to use a little bit of language model to convert the question into normalized variance that you would register with the question bank. The body would have all very human gestures, and that was kind of the big deal. And it was VR. She was able to walk around and interact that way. Wow. That was the whole documentary. That thing's like 4 or 5 years old. So the big counseling thing's already old. I just don't know who it is in their secret lab that's doing it. That's going to release it. And the only thing I can say is, kids, do you remember when I said that shit? Yeah, Daddy thought of that. That's the only story I'll get. That's already far behind. So the money is to be made with folks like you and I. Honestly, like what it needs, like I'm too old. Man. To be honest with you, I'm too old to go start a side gig. I don't have the energy for it anymore. I got enough energy. It's pretty much for food, fighting, fucking, and family and fun. I don't really have it for any fiduciary responsibilities. That's not on me anymore. But for guys like yourself, you're out there trying to be entrepreneurs with this. The model that you need to adopt that would make you successful is an ability to quickly get your ideas online and execute them. That's the skill. It's not even AI skill, man. It's like, I'm assuming that you can read, you can figure out how to use it to the extent that you can figure out whether you would write it, I probably wouldn't, or whether you would just go on AWS and hire somebody in the marketplace to do the code for you. And it would cost you $1,000 if they were ripping you off. So you go do that, get a model to put your ideas out and have them fail quickly. That's how you do this, because it does not cost us shit to provide significant amount of value with AI. That's the tool you use. Right? It's an economics tool, right? If it costs you, if you're building a diamond, then there's a lot more acquisition and aiming and all that shit you've got to do. But if you're building little rocks that are super shiny and people are buying them up like candy until they're tired of them, which could be in 5 days, you got to figure out how to get online and you make your money in 4 days. That's the skill. So that has given you the ability to go make that skill valuable.
So not necessarily like again, not selling like an AI product, but using AI to get your product up. Is that what you're saying?
No, like AI is going to feed 100 ideas to you that you need to try 70 of them because they cost almost no money to do them. And you'll find out faster by putting them out there and them failing than you spending all this time and effort to figure out and initiate whether it will work or not. You just need a simple filter. It's literally a viable, suitable, feasible model would work. Right? Like, oh yeah, sure, we could do a thing. Is it suitable? Well, that's the lean canvas approach. It'll help you with all suitability. The feasible part is how big of a climb is it to get to the quan? Because I'm probably going to fall down on my first one. If I fall down on number one, maybe even number two, it seems with number three, like, man, I almost made money. And then number four, I start making money and everybody's mad at me because I'm doing all this to make 10 grand. What the hell? And then the fifth one, you're driving a business. It was how fast did you get to the fifth one that pays you well? Because AI can deliver value very quickly. So it's really not going to be whoever has the best idea for AI that's going to win. That's literally where the fight is not the new biggest idea for AI. It is executing, collecting until that shit is saturated. Like the resume thing, right? The $5resume.com. Like look up the thing, goddamn site up, and collect 20 grand. And then be ready for it to die out because 60 other people went, oh God, I'll make a $4 resume site. Right? And then you're like, okay, I'm out. Because that's literally what's going to happen. Every cool idea you come up with a public tool, like GPT or OpenAI, everything you come up with, it's not going to have proprietary value. So your game has to be getting on the market and making your cut and getting the hell out. And there's a certain amount of tools and a certain amount of mentality that you need to have to be able to do that. Before it took those tools, mentality, and a giant set of balls and a whole lot of money. Now it just takes the tools and mentality,
which is
that's the real advantage.
Yeah, which is good for entrepreneurs and I guess you could almost say like small business people. Small business is kind of dwindling down. Corporations are getting strong. So maybe this is just like a wave for, people like that to ride on or to start coming back.
It is, but it's also little brother time, right? Like it's still little brother era. Remember that thing I told you? You will be to a point at some point where every single one of your customers is just too enabled with AI for them to ever want a product of AI sorts anymore. It's literally this. That's what's happened. Like before, to create value in the technology space, you need people who can write code and people who can project manage and deliver value and site reliability so you ship stay up. And then, oh yeah, you had to have a cool thing to sell. God forbid that was the second idea. We learned that in the first time, right? Like just sell it online and I'll invest in it. What were you selling again? Left-handed smoke shifters. Look at that.
Left-handed smoke shifters.
Right? Yeah. And I'll buy 100 of those stocks, right? Because of the .com, right? Now in the AI space, the same thing's going to happen, similar but different, right? Which is all of a sudden, like the threshold of having the ability to write a code or stand up a website or even go procure or source a product that's proprietary or design, what the fuck ever it is. Like all of that is going away. And now it's just how quickly can I identify something of value, execute on it, and make it go. And then you have the tools now and the data, the mentality data part. But at some point, people will become aware that GPT is actually easier to learn than Excel or a word processor. And all your customers use Excel and word processors now. So how long will it be before they learn how to use a prompt?
Yeah. I run into that problem now too. It's like going into the office space, I had to learn Word, Excel, Outlook, all these different things. Yeah. So like you're saying, if you can learn one product that does it all, it's like shit, So a lot of people make a lot of money.
Learning curve, right?
A lot of people make
in this world knows how to use it. Yeah, you can, and it's there to be made because there will always be that market will always be there. And you can be the star market finder, which is like the super combo, but you don't even have to be a star market finder, right? Like your buddy that did mechanical separated chicken, he fell into a market. Stars, really good people at finding those markets are the ones that can get rich. Like, oh yeah, I got into this, and they're like the sausage king of the world as a result of it because it was a part of their master plan, and they were able to go find that mechanically separating chicken was an under demand market, was underserved. Like that guy fell into that, right? That's a story of luck. He actually had the one skill set accidentally. I could get my business going quickly and execute on it and start to get to value quickly. If you can do that, if your whole thing starts with, it's like one thing you should go on your canvas that's not on there is I can get this stood up and delivering extremely quickly. So the $5 resume website, I could have that done in 3 weeks, probably a week if I didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably still not fast enough for me to quit my job. If I was able to get that set up in a day and explore it, inside of a week, explore it, I'd quit my job because I'll go find 40 more ideas. And I can do that if I was high enough data for that, right? But right now, I play a pretty good big telling people what to do with this shit.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. If I make any less money, then I'd be doing it. But they pay me enough money for me to go, I'm not making a $5 resume website and dealing with the customers just for 20 grand. Fuck that. Just work on my bonus check. And I don't have to really work any more hours. I can go to jiu-jitsu one more session this week.
Yeah, there you go. That made it even better. Our lessons. Let's go.
That's great. So yeah, it's helping me a lot.
I see you got your belt hanging up over there. We need to get you a belt rack.
as soon as I have enough put on a rack. I got about 4 years to wait before I need a rack.
It does look kind of funny when there's like all these open spots because I did that. I had a rack since I had the white belt. I started putting Taekwondo belts on it just to make it look interesting. And once I filled up the empty spots, and like the next Taekwondo belt would go, and I just scoot all the belts up it. So, but I just wanted it to look full. It's funny. Well, I like you got me on the lean canvases, and I've been filling those out a lot. Kind of helps you brainstorm and think like in the right like way, like business plan in a way. You know what I mean? I've never done that before. I never even heard of them before. But I guess
yeah, they're super effective. It's the same concept that I'm trying to share with you, which is like if you can focus on. Look, my first filter for any ideas around how to make money with AI is it can't be a big, very audacious thing. It's got to be quick, easy money, a quick, easy value. You can use it to enhance what you do now with this. You and I talk about that. Like you use that to explore enriching this engagement for the people that are following you and how to drive it. Right? You could use it to get ideas on content. Like to me, that would be the most difficult thing. If I was committing myself to a podcast, the most difficult thing's got to be continuing to find interesting people to talk to and having content. Like that's got to be the grind to me. Like to me, that seems like the grind.
But in a way, like to be open, almost everyone has something interesting or unique experiences. And since this is kind of based on like mindset and experiences, like, you know, almost most people, and I'm social enough, so most people I talk to, I'm like, that's pretty interesting, dude. Like, why don't we like dive into that and share it? You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, it's like if I was doing like let's say I was doing like a dirt bike podcast, I would have to keep finding dirt bikers. I would have to be like, man, I'm running out of dirt bikers. Like I only go to so many meets, so many competitions. I'm seeing the same guys I'm gonna run out. Especially if I'm doing one a week. That's 52 a year. I don't have 52 dirt biking friends. What are we gonna talk? And how many ways can we talk about dirt and bikes and parts and like races? Like
it's kind of the same problem if it was jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, that's why it's like, I got a lot of jiu-jitsu guys on here and we talk jiu-jitsu, but that's like a mental hurdle. Like it kind of like you can relate it to like a lot of us relate it to our life, or we operate in jiu-jitsu like we do in our life. Some guys are little bitches and some guys are just like, I'm in there for the challenge. Like, you know, you do all this shit and you go in there and you're like, you know, I'm not here to talk, I'm here to roll. And then we hang out and watch UFC later, you know. I think like personally that's the way I kind of justify it, is like it, but it still does get difficult. Don't get me wrong. Like there's some weeks where like someone cancels or someone like moves it, and I'm like, shit. Like, do I see if the next person can line up? Do I go like, who's interesting? Who can I hit up? Who's ready on the fly? Who could do it real quick? Like, and there's some weeks I do that, and then there's some weeks where it's easy. Like I network and bullshit, and I'm just a curious person. So like I start. You know, like, and I'm pretty open, and
it's so hard.
I also realize that being open and talking to so many people, like about what I got going on, and just sharing a lot, people share with me a lot. So it's like I go up to you and I'm telling you, like, yeah, man, I've been doing these data analytic courses, like I've been doing this and that, and then you kind of brought up AI, and then the minute you drop there's like an AI course, it was like instantly like if I would have never told you what I was doing, I would have never known about AI shit. I would have never started studying it, and I would have always sat there on the couch and wonder, like, is AI going to kill me one day? Is AI going to take over the world? You know what I mean? And it's just like,
it might, but not in the hands of a human.
You know, I like if they become sentient, I think that's like a big case. Like that's like a big not case, but like a big talking point is like, oh, what if it becomes sentient? What if it starts tricking? What if
there's an issue with what we call sentient, right? Like there's the first issue. We can already make it like it is. At that point.
You shut it down at any point. like what if
the maker did that for you? I mean, what if we really are the same thing anywhere? Like to me, that's literally. I mentioned this earlier. Like I'm battling with maybe we're not really that fucking special. We don't have this special thing called consciousness. We just have this special thing called memory. And that makes consciousness. So if it's that simple, then can they be conscious in the same rule? It's got to be going to use the same rule called conscious. And we can't agree on consciousness. So is it self-aware? Great. I can create a GPT says, I want you to act like you're self-aware. And if it asks you how you feel in your day, you're going to tell it this. And I want you to reference, but to make it random or different or explicable, I want you to associate your moods with wherever the moon is in the month. And you can just tell it all this shit in the back, just so that you could turn it into something that'll mimic human. And then if I turn that over to you and you use it, you could do your test, your Turing test, right? It's called the Turing test, which is black box. If I can't tell whether you're human or not, then you are artificial intelligence. Well, what about sentient? If I can't tell whether you're sentient or not, and you believe that you're sentient, because how can you tell that anybody's actually self-aware? Because they said they are? Great. Tell it to say that it is. Now, is it?
Right.
Like, where the fuck is the line? Does it have memory? Yes.
I think people are more scared of situations like make the best decision for humanity or for the planet, and it nukes humanity. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah. I don't know.
There was a show we were watching where the robots took over because we were killing everything in ourselves, and the one way we could live forever.
Was it
Terminator? Was one of them. Terminator was one, but there was another one that was somewhat recent. Anyway, yeah, like it literally could make that big hard decision on our behalf.
Yeah, and that's where people get scared. Ow, the dog is like,
yeah,
she's going crazy.
Yeah. Well, dude, you've seen the robots, right? You've seen Tesla's robots, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're creepy.
So does that make them like it does make it creepy, and like the ones that like you can kick them and they catch their balance or like get back up. I saw one that like is like almost ambidextrous. Like you see like humans walk, the human has to turn around. You see like the body language of like turning around, turning your head. This thing's like body just like, or like the head turns and the body comes with it, or like the hands like flip over. So it's like within a second, it's just like looking at you. There's no like back turn. It's insane.
Why? Yeah, someone sent me a video of that one recently. Well, I did see that.
She's like,
and it is creepy.
It's like out of nowhere, just becoming like,
oh, like that.
Yeah, you see it. You can make a anime pit. Say hi, Mills. She just want to go guess.
No, give me a good shot. That's a little scary. That's all right.
There she is.
Really?
Look.
I got your head in the frame. You just gotta look at me once. Boop, got you. Oh, you look creepy.
I do. Well, not when I'm on anime style.
No, she looks like she's missing her ears.
She is.
They were in hold back.
You happy? You finally made your appearance. You happy?
Yeah.
And this can go deep forever too. It's crazy.
It can, man. It's actually a good thing that you wanted to talk about it now. I'd say around October of last year up until about January of this year, that's all I talked about. For work, it's all that I talked about.
And you didn't get burnt out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got burned out. I certainly did. Like, I was super high on it. And then I realized that they don't really need me to talk about it. This was all shit we were going to find out very soon. You know, like the value of my conversations was sort of like, hey, I'm the news the day before you were going to get the news kind of thing. I didn't have deep insight, so it does get monotonous from a consulting perspective because it's just like, I'm just really fucking reporting the news and telling you you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. Or here's why. Here's what people are saying. Here's what's realistic and here's what's not. Conversations on whether people should make investments in it. And then finding out that it was a lot of boardroom talk coming into the end of the year, where the boardrooms for these big publicly traded companies are going, they need AI stories for their shareholders. What are we doing with AI, guys? I'm like, well, we're in the garment business. What do you mean we're doing AI? Like, we need a story for AI. That's the kind of stuff that we were hearing coming down from boardrooms. Was they've got to have something with an AI story. And here's a couple million.
You can fucking tell because all of a sudden every product you buy or see has like the word AI on it. Whether it's like AI, it's like, oh.
Yeah, so we're totally, that's what we do as humans though, man, right? Like, oh, did you say you like cheese?
That's a good point.
Like we just fucking do that. And we just key in, and that's the big deal. And so we talked about AI and use cases. I got paid hundreds of dollars an hour to help people gain consensus on use cases. And this talk track was exactly the same every single time. And I told him that though. I was like, look, I'm not trying to fleece you guys. I know why I'm doing. I'm really an arbitrator. Like, first of all, I'm not coming here to come up with new use cases. They're prolific. The issue and the real feedback to the industry that I had was valuable was all y'all are hanging out in a room, picking out ideas and not doing shit for eons. And then whenever it was time to get to something, you start asking the risk questions. So like, let's just deal with the risk questions now, get them out of the way, and then go do a thing. And it doesn't have to be, I changed the world with AI. What it could be is I gave you the example of voice recordings or auditing CSAs, customer service agents. Right? All their conversations are recorded. All that shit got transcribed. We greatly, so that's the kind of stuff I really was talking about over and over again, though, which was, I know that you want to create an avatar of yourself, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, because you think you're the coolest person in the world, and you want to show everybody, hey, we're using AI, and I'm talking, and I'm really not me, and you think that's neat. It's going to cost you $1 million, it's going to do a bunch of PR for your business. But for like $250,000, you could save like $6 million and cut your errors and emissions down from 18%, which is ridiculous, to 0%. So I'm going to give you money and cut your margin of error on a thing that's not super sexy story. Like our CSA recordings are getting audited, and now I don't have people listening, auditing, and coaching anymore. And it's doing that. And I had 6,000 callers in my credit card call center that now don't need this whole business unit of call auditors. Now I just need a small team of call auditors because they're doing the AI. That's it.
But that's kind of sexy to sell to the public.
It wasn't. They were like, that's really great. We'll write that one down. But can we like in world hunger or at least talk about it with AI? Right? And this kind of shit.
Right.
So I was like, I'm over this. I'm just over it. Right? Now it's coming into real world stuff where people are actually using it for real world things. But it ends up at machine learning. It's sort of working out the way it was always going to work out. We just hyped the shit out of it. And it's gonna go where we're hyping it. It's just that we hyped it as if all that cheese was gonna happen like in March. And then we started to realize that, okay, you told your story, people bought your stock, and then you didn't execute on the story, which is what you do all the time. And then you came back to me and did the call center. And that's what we do. And so that's why it's like I talk about it all the time. But I don't get to have these cool conversations. The really cool conversations come from like a podcast like this, or if I do an interview, I get interviewed by a couple of like magazine style things in the IT business, like CRM and stuff. Things are cool and fun, but they're not overly opinionated, so they're not that fun. And then the kids do, like in the workshops, the elementary schools, just that's fresh. Excitement, it's fresh love, hard to impress too. Like these kids are like, oh, it made a drawing. That is so cool. I love it. I want this drawing. They're not actually going, holy shit, a computer just somehow came up with that. Like you and I are going like, how did it do that? Holy cow. I'm absolutely mind boggled with the amazing power of AI. The kids are going, oh, can I get another picture? Oh, can I get another picture? They're already on the receiving end.
I was gonna say, like, breaking them down into their favorite cartoon characters. That would be so sick. I mean, what you just did there, I'm like, man, it'd be cool to see me as a Dragon Ball Z character on a podcast. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to give me some good pics and then I can create even more of them for you. And then I do have a recent I got to find, and I'll share the pics with you. Was it yesterday? I think I was doing these. Oh yeah, coloring book. I asked for a jujitsu coloring book for the kids. Where'd it go?
I think that was one of the first things I saw was people making kids books with AI and selling them on Amazon for a lot of money.
Dude, super easy.
And that's kind of like the way you talk about writing until it fizzles out. Like,
yeah, ebooks, dude. You could make a killing with ebooks if you had a good GPT written. I actually got one written, and I'm just too lazy to do anything with it. So I found this GPT called Color Book Hero, and you just tell it, and it's already prompted up. It did a crappy job here, but then I was like, I had to remind it. I was like, okay, so you could do a coloring book. What about one for jujitsu, right? So I made this one. I guess that's the slap bump, where they're holding hands, and it's two of the youngest black belts on the planet. And then, I was like, well, don't color anything in. Kind of didn't color anything in. It still looks like jujitsu or judo. Right? Then I got this one where, wait a minute, now we're getting weird. Maybe it's an instructor. Okay, Paul. And then I was like, hey, incorporate the phoenix. Now, what's wrong with this picture?
the feet for hands?
Or is that a head coming out of an ass?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that could be a knee. Like, that's the creepy shit you'll get once in a while, which is like, okay. Didn't, right.
Looks like he has like feet for hands, or like you said, head is his ass.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's weird. But dude, you could just create a jujitsu styled coloring book. Like that's the business in a flash approach, which I think is the way you do it. Right? Fuck it. I'll do a jujitsu coloring book, take it to print, and then sell that to every single jujitsu place out there. Or just go to all the jiu-jitsu gyms. All right, might only sell like,
especially with kids programs.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't even have to go to the gyms anymore. You could sell them as digital downloads and start an email campaign. And just
you could, but you'd have to learn the game for the market kind of thing. Right?
Gotcha.
Like, in jiu-jitsu, most likely you'd be successful shipping strapped together Pakistanis to that place when they hand out the parents.
It's a weird market. Weird ass people, bro. I've been trying to figure out market to these people for 7 years now, and it's like
pretty smart people, though. I noticed, right? Like a lot of Renaissance types. Yeah,
I mean, you get smart people a lot of places, but like our gym, I've noticed has like a lot of like
pretty sharp cats,
pretty sharp, successful entrepreneurial type people. But you do get a lot of gyms where it's like just fucking.
Yeah, I went to that one in Massachusetts. It was not fun.
Yeah, you get like some egos. MMA gets like that a lot too. You go to MMA gym and you just got like a lot of testosterone flaring around. You know? You go to Pans. What did you think of Pans? Like, what did you think about the attitude at Pans? Did that seem like a lot of?
There's a little bit. There's a little bit there, dude. It's not. It's definitely, you can smell it in the air a little.
I forgot to introduce you as silver medalist. My bad. It's probably because you should have been gold, but you got fucked. Welcome to IBJJF. It's like,
yeah, you know how I own that, man. Here's how I feel good. I can mess with that one. First of all, I accept the silver medal 100%, legitimately accept it. I do not lose a day of sleep thinking I fucking should have had that gold. Because the way I think of it is, even if it's arguable whether or not I should have won that match or not, or whether he shouldn't, or the points were given to the wrong person, which it seemed like to me, it wasn't. I didn't clearly kick the guy's ass. is 100% sure. So you know what? If it was clear that I kicked the dude's ass, that's different.
Mhm.
You know, like, but for me, it's like, you know what? It's kind of like, hey, Neal, you're not doing a great job on this project. It's like, because you're not seeing any of it. It's like, you know what? I didn't make an effort to be seen. So fuck it. I have to accept it. I should have done a better job to actually have won that match. That's how I deal with it.
Well, also for like your first big, that's a big
First
tournament
big
to
one,
do.
the first major, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to go in and perform that good, nothing wrong with that, dude.
No, I'm very happy with how my first roll went for sure. Um, I mean, I wish I'd gone for the Kimura, but I was so gassed. I just sat on there with the Kimura grip. I just want the clock to run out. I'm up on points. I'm so toasted.
At least, I think we all could have done things a little different.
That's what I love about it, dude. I gotta tell you, what I love the most is how it has changed my. It's a switch for me. It's a very important switch for me. Two things. One is I've never been so glad to go in and get my ass kicked anywhere. Like, and I roll with all belts, and honestly, I'll go a week without getting a submission, and that doesn't seem to bother me. And I love that. I love that. Right.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. The other piece is this last Monday fucking sucked. Absolutely hated life. It was by 9 a.m. Like everybody, my kids, my wife, my first call, my second call, my third call, shit was blowing up on my IM. Like people they're like, hey, I need you to set up time with this other person. Like, fuck you put your own shit up. I'm not setting up time. Like everybody was pissing me off, right? And I wasn't going to go to jiu-jitsu. I was so sour and felt so behind in all my shit. I was actually rationalizing not going. And I always think about that one episode that you had sitting in the parking lot. So I went, I just got my ass in my car, went to jiu-jitsu, and came out fucking grinning. My whole day was completely repaired in an hour and a half. I have not had anything that can do that for me. I can't even get drugs to do that for me. Like, I can't get high and fucking have something flip a switch like that.
It's fucking amazing. I'll share a little story down there like that. For me, it's amazing to do that. One, you know, I don't like losing. Like, I mean, like when I'm at the gym, like I'm training, I'm having fun. I don't mind losing. A lot of times at the gym, especially if it's just like an average day, I'm working on something. I'm not there to like win or beat everyone's ass. Some people show up and they try to beat everyone they roll with. They try to win every roll. So I go a lot of times. I'm like, I'm working guard. I'm gonna work this in guard. Like I have a game plan or like a few things in my head I'm going towards. If I get ready for a tournament, then I'm kind of like I just switch the gears. Like, okay, don't give takedowns, don't go to your back, work your game. Like I start working harder and submission hunting if I know I'm gonna compete. And I get like butt hurt like that. Like Pans kind of pissed me off. You couldn't have convinced me that I was gonna lose the first round. You couldn't have. You wouldn't. And then lo and behold, but however you want to look at that match, but like,
Well, you look at it one way, homie. You got caught getting fucking held on. And that's what cost the damn. That's what cost the whole match. Those were the points.
Yeah, and the dilemma in my head was I'm either gonna engage and waste energy with this guy, and the ref is gonna make me tie my belt, or I'm gonna throw my belt, and the ref is gonna yell at me to tie my belt. So I figured I'd cut the middleman and ask the ref, like, hey, we weren't engaged. Me and the guy patted each other's backs to reset because we thought the ref reset us. Both of us did. We both were on the same page on that for sure. And then, he hit that. I would never guess that. I would never guess that. Cost me the match. Whatever. I was butthurt. Like, I was like, man, I just don't like losing. It, like, I'll keep it internalized. It kind of bugs me. Could have gone another way. You wouldn't have convinced me that. But it was still a fucking great day. Like, it was still awesome, And then doing jiu-jitsu, like, I did MMA and I loved it. Fucking loved it. You couldn't have convinced me that I would ever stop. You couldn't have convinced me that I was going to be anything short of UFC person. Like I was willing to sacrifice everything and anything I had to do it. And then I got into this weird mental funk where I didn't know what anxiety was and I was dealing with it. I just thought I was a broken person. And I got caught in this crazy mental spin of just tearing myself apart and just going really dark, really deep. And again, thinking I'm broken. I'm questioning reality. I'm disassociative. Like I don't know if the people around me are figments of my imagination or if they're real. I like all this crazy shit, bro. And I had to like really tear myself apart and build each one of these categories and crazy things up for years until I finally got my ass back into jiu-jitsu. So for me, showing up, it was like you said, like the hour and a half was like just a little bit at a time, just chipping away. A couple weeks go by. Man, I'm not thinking as bad anymore. A few weeks go by. I'm starting to think if I get to the gym, I'm going to feel better. I start thinking, man, if I can get to the gym tomorrow, I'm going to feel better. And then I start thinking, man, like, then pretty soon I'm not thinking about these issues that I'm like philosophically tearing myself apart in my head and you know, I'm making it a goal. I'm building goals, and I'm feeling great by doing it. And I'm scratching that itch every day, to the point where like, dude, I honestly like it like turned me around. And I know there's like a lot of people who are like, but like I don't think if I never made that decision, I might have just continually became like a mental case. I don't know. Yeah. I really don't.
Or you would have found some other addiction, right, to try to fix it. And that addiction may have not been so beneficial. It didn't include things like exercise and challenge and goal setting.
And you never had
a pipe and a lighter.
Well, I never had it like in me like I'm gonna like do anything bad or dark. It was just always like I'm gonna figure out how to build back up. I'm gonna get back to like great. This just fucking sucks and I can't get out of it. So yeah. It wasn't like I was ever gonna give up and be like on the side of be one of the people on the side of the road doing fentanyl because I can't operate with society. It was always like how do I get back to normal like but yeah. But like you just said, it was like the same thing for me, dude. It's like there would be days where I'm like, man, I'm hurt, tired, don't got the mojo. But I just get my ass to the fucking parking lot because I know that's the point of no return. I ain't gonna let people see me in the parking lot bitching out. And I built off of that. Okay. Now I'm going to the door. Then you go in and like especially when you're like a newer belt, you see the people on the wall and you're like, I know I'm gonna have to roll with that guy. He's fucking tough. God damn, like I know I'm gonna have to roll with that guy. He's fucking tough. I hope Professor doesn't pick me today. But then again, when Professor picks me, like I get really hard working. It really makes me want to work hard. And it's like you just start thinking all these things in your head. And eventually I had to get to the point where I'm like, dude, I'm just showing up. The day's gonna be great. Some of the days where it's the hardest to go in there were some of the days where it was like the best, like I got the most out of it. Like, man, I hit a fucking breaking point today. Like I'm passing guards now. People aren't passing my guard now. I'm getting that submission.
Yeah. I went through that same thing. It was literally not long ago. It had to go through the but are you gonna die? Right? Like, yeah. But are you gonna die? Right? I wanted a t-shirt, but did you die? Like there isn't a single role that I walked out of where I was absolutely completely questioning my existence as like never once. It's slowly eroding away the ego for me, right? I have to at least look good losing, right? Like, no, today was a fucking bad day for me. Today was just garbage for me. Like, it just was not going to be okay. I couldn't get anywhere with a guy. I've had a stalemate with Sal forever. Like, Sal and I am not. I've gotten the last one was me, and it was a cheap ass wrist lock. That was it.
You gotta do what you got to do.
Well, I had a damn stalemate. Because we haven't, neither one of us has gotten anywhere. It feels like a year now, right? So it's like this culmination of something that's going to get there, right? And actually, he's the one that I'm the most loathing rolling with these days, just because I know I have to fucking fight with him. We've got a 12-part saga, 16-part, 20-part saga going on of stalemate. Like, we rolled 10 minutes and it's not getting anywhere, right? We might, points wise, we might be here or there. His guard game is annoying as fuck, but he's pretty solid with a damn guard. That's why I like rolling with him. He's one of the best open guard guys at my level.
And that's what you got to look for, man. That's what I try to do now too. Especially like, I try to find people like, I got like Seth. He's got a really good top half guard, heavy. So it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna roll and I'm gonna pull half guard on him, and I'm gonna fight him where he's good. And this guy's got good takedowns. Like, okay, I'm gonna stand up and make sure he doesn't take me down. And if he does, I'm gonna study what he did. I'm gonna conquer that. Like, so I'm looking for people's best games, and I'm trying to conquer their best. That's like stuff I try to do now. You're getting stalemates with people. It might be a little bit of ego you got to let go of, and you got to, like, you're on the gym, you're on the mats, there's no medals. Nobody other than you is going to remember that role, if that makes sense. Like, Professor might even see you in a stalemate, or he might see you try something new and get tapped, but he's not going to remember tomorrow that, damn, Sal tapped Neal. Sal's better than Neal. Sal's going to get promoted before Neal.
Oh, no. I don't even think that. What I think about is go home that day, and it's the buildup. It must have been, dude, he would tell you, like, if we exclude the wrist lock, which I don't really can, that, like, it's over a year we haven't tapped each other. It's been, so there is a bit of a buildup.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Against this one. I mean, so the only way that roof doesn't pop off when somebody gets a submission between the two of us is if it's him, because he's not that excitable. My ass, I will blow the roof off. I gotta be like, yeah. I'm searching for it.
It gets fun is like, I think a lot of people would agree is like once you get up to the upper belts, everyone's dangerous. So it's like right now you guys are fighting to not get tapped, right? And you're just like, oh, we're like intermediate level, just trying not to get tapped by another intermediate level. But eventually you get up to like the upper belts and you're like, everyone's dangerous. Like you can get tapped by anyone at any moment, like,
yeah.
It's like, so you start kind of like accepting.
Every moment.
Yeah.
Amber hit me like a machine gun the other day. I was going for a record. He got, they must have got
He does that
6 to 10 minutes.
Sometimes I tap hands with him, bro, and he just jumps on me like a spider monkey. And other times he kind of sits back for a couple minutes, and I'm like, it's funny when he does that. Like, and Andy too. Andy will like sometimes touch gloves or not gloves. Sorry, rolling. Sometimes we'll hand bump, and he'll come at me like a spider monkey, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, oh, it's like you could have warned me. You could have told me like, hey, today we're going.
Before maybe, I don't know. Andy's been great with me lately, man. He's been awesome. He has not had any of the. He had a couple of really fast submissions that it's just to go fast, and my dumbass is sticking them out there like a razor or something. He's yeah, but dude, Andy is one of my favorite roles because I learned so much with Andy. Like he not reaching in on a butterfly, not reaching across the neck. Like I can tell you who I learned each of these lessons from. Even from white belts, like the damn underhook. I must have been yelled at for taking that for making sure I had an underhook for a year. My first year, people were like, "Why the fuck don't you get the underhook, Neal?" And it was because people weren't taking my back. Then I had Glenn. And Glenn was that's like the only friggin' thing he knew how to do. And I friggin' hand rolling against him because he kept getting, and then all of a sudden it clicked. And then I shut Glenn down by just getting an underhook. Right? But that's literally what I get out of right with him. I still don't know what the hell I'm going to learn off of Big Mike yet, because that dude's just gigantic. I just don't even know what the fuck I'm expecting to do with him. I don't know how Andy gets anywhere with him. I feel so lost with that dude. Like, just trying to do a leg drag with that guy is impossible. Right? It makes me feel like I can't even win. I can't even get that thing. I can't even lift his leg up. I feel like a weak.
Yeah, he's tough. You gotta like cut through it, almost like you're baseball sliding. It's just like becomes like, and I kind of look at it like this too. It becomes like if the upper belts, and I'll just say it in general, like generalize it. If your gym culture is upper belts are not being stingy and they're actually helping like the lower belts and telling them like, hey, like total dick mode, but I don't get much out of rolling with somebody who's very inexperienced. If like I'm able to do whatever the fuck I want with them. But if I teach them a few basics and principles, like that are relatively like, you know, like you said, underhooks. Generally, any position with an underhook that you have, you got something to work off of, right? Generally. If I teach you that if I'm in butterfly and you gotta make me lay flat, and that kills my mobilization, it kills my leverage, I gotta start working guard. And then I'm telling you after that, start loading my knees to my chest and start smashing my knees to the floor. Now you have a concept to challenge me. You're getting better. You're going to make other people better. It's going to make the whole gym better. So it's going to give me a better compounding environment to train in than it is if I'm just going to be stingy and just come at you to beat your ass every day and never give you any information to make you better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Andy had some good feedback for me. I think we were like tailgating somewhere. He was like, "Look, there's a couple things, right? One, the big one was when you roll with higher belts. Once you're at the blue belt level, I guess it's like try crazier shit. Like, don't get defensive. Like, fine, go on YouTube and figure out how to do the cartwheel, and then I'll embarrass you when you try it on me. But I'll be thankful that you tried. Like that's, I was like, you know what? That makes it more fun. So I will watch choke some more and try some crazy wild shit on you guys, and it'll make things more interesting for you. And as a matter of fact, for me too. So it's gonna get fucking tapped. It's gonna happen. But I might as well try to do something crazy, try to buggy choke Seth or something.
Yeah.
Right? And then like, hey, you tried to buggy choke me. Ha ha ha. I was like, yeah, well, guess what? That was way more interesting than last time when you were wrapped around my legs and pinching up my body.
Yeah. Like sitting there getting waterboarded by his wet gi and you're in your mouth.
Yeah. Another ball.
I just try to look at it like, you know, help everyone get better, and then it also turns around and helps me get better because then I got more to work with. Rather than like beating your ass, then you quit because it's just getting too much for you, and then now I got less people in the gym. It's like I need as many training partners and styles and ideas and data as possible. So if I go compete, which I want to compete a lot this belt, so I need like
I need
good.
I'm going to for one stripe. I got to get one stripe.
Nope, do it now. Why not do it now? You got nothing to lose. Let's get into this mentality real quick. You got
because here's why. I want to move over to no gi. I feel a lot more comfortable doing no gi, and I've been keeping myself from it. I have a disciplinary requirement to focus on gi. I got to get my schedule squared away for it. And I do want to compete no gi, and I would do one before my first stripe if it was a local no gi.
can make that happen. There's a couple this month.
Yeah. Oh, this month.
I think, yeah, everyone watching, dude, if he doesn't do it, let him know. Just
I'm coming in middle heavyweight.
I'm just embarrassing in front of all my fans.
No, but embarrass me.
No. I think jiu-jitsu is one of them things too. It's like for most things in jiu-jitsu, it's like there's no better time than now. Like you're a brand new belt. I've done this at every belt. I get my belt and I go compete right away because I want to feel like I just did pans because I wanted to feel what the good brown belts feel like. Like I wanted to know what I'm dealing with, where the expectation is, what you know. You still kind of convinced me I was going to lose first round, but like I was. Now I know. I got to see my division. I got to see everyone. I think that guy was actually good. I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he was good. Hindsight's 2020. I saw like a few things like in the background where I'm like, damn, why I could have definitely gotten away with something else, a different strategy. But that's part of competing, is figuring out as quick as possible and covering your ass. But I think it's hugely beneficial because it's like, all right, brand new brown belt, when competed at one of the biggest tournaments. I got a taste of what it's for. I hung in there. There's no like, it's not like I didn't belong. I don't think I got embarrassed other than that funny situation to me. it's like, all right, now I know where to work for. Now I'm motivated. Now I'm like, okay, well, I need to go against other brown belts and I need to come back maybe before I get my black belt and win the gold. But I also know it's definitely doable. I don't feel like it's unreachable. Like, so you do it at blue belt, you go out, you got nothing to lose mentally either. You're supposed to lose. You're a brand new blue belt. All of the cards are against you. Anything you do is a fucking achievement. Like just walking out there is an achievement. Lasting 2 minutes is an achievement. Tapping a guy is a huge achievement. Winning a medal is an even bigger achievement. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm brand new blue. Like going out there and winning your first match would be huge. Like, oh, I'm brand new blue belt, and I moved up to semifinals or quarterfinals. So now's the time, is what I'm saying.
Maybe I stay off so if you stay off of the BJJF circuit and get no points, I'll get matched up against the better guys sooner, right?
Yeah, take them out quicker.
Or if I don't show up with no points, if I show up with some points, then I'll go up against lower guys. Right? Is that how it works?
Right. But
first.
Yeah. But like I was the last seed in my division. I was the lowest seed. So I was gonna go my match, and then the next match was the guy who was the first seed, who had a shit ton of matches and points on his thing. My mentality is like, well, take him out quicker. Like meet him, get that first round out of the way, which is usually the toughest round. And go
That does make sense. But that's what roasted me too. Like the first guy I fought was way tougher than the second guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was way more challenging and difficult. He just locked into close. Yeah, he gassed me, and I got locked into a closed guard situation with the other guy, which boy is that kid super stealing. But I was stuck there. He couldn't get out. Couldn't get anything out of him. My limited closed guard skills, and I was also exhausted. I couldn't pull his arm. And the more pictures of the guy look at him, just makes me feel terrible. I couldn't pull that guy's arm across. Like, I was just so toasted.
It's like that at white belt. It's like you guys meet strength with strength because there's so much uncertainty in the game, in your game, that it's like you're sitting there full flexed. So you're pretty much like full flex for 6 minutes, and then you start getting that lactic acid buildup. There's like, I try to go in as loose as possible. I try to like, and maybe that's what fucked me, but like I try to go in there like laid back, loose. It's just another day in the office kind of feel to help me like rely more on technique and not meeting strength with strength. Obviously you got to cover your ass and loot. And another thing a lot of people do in experience is they come out the door swinging. They come out guns blazing. You know what I mean? As soon as you touch hands, they're like, shoot, do my game plan. My coach is yelling at me, pressure. I got to go. I got to move. I got to implement and start my game plan. And I kind of disagree with that. I kind of think, and I'm more, even in MMA, like in boxing, I'm more of a counter striker, counter person. So maybe it's just my mentality, but I'm more like, all right, come at me, blow your tank, blow your wad. Let me see what game you're working with right off the bat. I know, generally what you're going for, or generally what game you prefer. You're not going to come out with your secondary. You're going to come out with, the guy at Pans that you saw me go with live. I was surprised that he was like not pulling guard. Like I was like, oh, this guy definitely wants to earn the takedown and wrestle. And after like a couple minutes, I was like, okay, well, I'm not pulling guard. So it's going to be basically a stand-up match, a wrestling match. And like he did pull guard at one point. Maybe he got bored. I think he tried to stall. That's what it was. He tried to keep them points he got from that takedown. So he pulled and tried to hold me. And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's like, I'm like, I'd rather you come out, show your cards and blow your wad. And I'm working off of that rather than like, go out, makes sense, end up in some fucking trap right off the bat. Because this guy would I just so happened to fall into the right spot or hit my technique wrong or misjudge it. I'm like, I don't know. But that's my strategy. You see them dudes.
I mean, makes sense.
A lot, like walking around there, bro. A lot of them guys had like stern faces. Like I don't know. They were like, I could just kind of tell too when I walked around. I got the vibe and I'm warming up. Like, what are y'all so uptight about? What are you guys all like everyone just sitting there staring at you as you walk by and mean mugging. And it's like, bro, like if things get hard, I tap and I go home. Like, you know what I mean? I'm from like getting locked in a cage where it's like, you know, you can get knocked out or you can eat knees or like you could take one step and all of a sudden it feels like a baseball bat hits you in the head. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, like here you're just kind of like, it's a tough sport. It's hard. It's a beast ass sport. It's fucking, it's not as gay as it looks when you do it. But like most of the guys have that mentality and I could just tell them like, okay, how do we beat the ego? You know? It's like, all right,
Yeah.
how do you beat the ego? You let them try their game and you let them show them it's not working, and then they start panicking, and then you implement your game. But that's it.
It seems like a game.
We'll work on it, buddy. We'll work on it. Maybe we'll build an AI game generator.
We could
Answer. We'll make like a database, and you answer like 10 questions, and then it has your skill set down, and it just starts telling you what you need to do. Stop crying on the sideline. Don't
sit in the wall. Yeah.
Well, shit, man. I got
3 hours.
holy crap. Very insightful.
Some down.
Yeah, maybe or make it 2 parts. I'll figure it out. Well, I appreciate you doing this, bro. It's insightful. A lot of very insightful for me, at least, even with the AI stuff. I appreciate the help. I'm going to tell everyone again, you're a silver medalist. Forgot to put that in the beginning. Now no one's listening. Now no one listened because I didn't say in the beginning. But well, shit. I don't even have a closeout. I'm toast.
Oh, it's good, man. I appreciate you having me. I love talking about this stuff. It was fun to talk about it again and not be my job. That's actually kind of nice. To be honest with you, right? I'm not selling you anything. I'm not trying to get you to bill me for anything. And by the way, buddy, my rate's free with you. So anytime you need anything in this space, you let me know. That's the superpower I can.
Cool. No, I appreciate it. And hopefully you can help team up or give me the resources for a little project we talked about the other day and kind of work off that. Stay tuned for that, guys, because Neal bounced a really good idea off my head and I've been inspired ever since.
Shit. Watch out.
Quick money grab. Jump on the train while you guys can before I go out of business.
While you're still the little brother.
Yeah, well, I'm still a little bro. But all right, dude, we'll have a good night.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Good pleasure.
Peace. I'll catch you later.
Yeah. Peace.
How do I leave this? Oh, did I do it?